Oklahoma wins it. So long from Lubbock. Our next stop, Auburn, Georgia.
We're about to rock the night in Athens, Georgia. The fans welcome their team home for the first time in 42 days. A night filled with anticipation because the Alpha Dog is back. It's a homecoming of sorts, too, for Nick Marshall, back where his college career began, but at a different position and a different uniform. The Bulldogs, the Tigers, East meets West as the Deep South's oldest rivalry set for another go-round next. And we welcome you to ESPN's College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton Hotels. 92,000 plus between the hedges tonight as 9th-ranked Auburn travels here into Athens to take on the 15th-ranked Bulldogs of Georgia. As you take a look at the standings in the East and West, Mississippi State has lost for the first time. Alabama now on top there. Auburn knows they've got to keep winning and hope for a 3- or 4-way tie. It's a little more simple for Georgia right now. Win tonight and hope that Missouri stubs its toes somewhere, maybe even at Texas A&M as early as a half an hour from now. Welcome, everybody. Brad Nessler along with Todd Blackledge. Great setting tonight and the return of Todd Gurley from a 4-game NCAA suspension. And partner, from what we've seen and heard from the coaches in practice this week, he's chomping at the muzzle to get out there.
Absolutely. And you know, of all the games that we've covered this year, he's the single most dominant player that I watched all season. Now, he's no longer in the Heisman conversation because of the suspension, but make no mistake, he is a premier player in college football. He's rested, he's energetic, he's got a huge chip on his shoulder, and I expect that he will play a great ball game tonight, because right now his focus is to try to get his team to Atlanta.
And we talked about Nick Marshall coming back. He's a Georgia native. He's the guy running the show for the Tigers.
Interesting subplot for Nick Marshall. The last time he played a game in this stadium, he was a defensive back for this Georgia team in 2011. Dismissed from the team a few weeks after that. Went to junior college. Now in his second season as the starting quarterback for Auburn, and he has had a brilliant career playing on the offensive side of the ball.
These two teams have been getting together since 1892, and it's just one of those nights where you feel like something special is going to happen.
Absolutely. Two outstanding offenses, particularly when it comes to running the football. I expect a high-scoring shootout in the game tonight.
I mentioned it's been almost a month and a half since the fans in Sanford Stadium have seen their team at home, and they are geared up for what should be a dandy tonight. And here come the Dogs.
ESPN College Football Primetime is brought to you by New York Life Insurance Company, Hotels.com, the obvious choice for hotels, and Dr. Pepper, always one of a kind.
The SEC on ESPN from Athens. Deep South's oldest rivalry between Georgia and Auburn as the Tigers take the field. It doesn't get any closer than this series. 118th meeting tonight. And Auburn right now has a 1-game lead in the all-time series, courtesy of a thrilling 5-pointer a year ago.
Murray wants to throw for the end zone. He's got a man there, and it's caught. Did he get in? Yes, he did. We'll hang it up in the end zone, and it is caught. Touchdown in the end zone. Murray looks. Now he runs. He will run. And Murray, I think he got there. Yeah!
Marshall steps up. He's going to throw downfield. Just a home run ball, and it is tipped up. And Lewis caught on the deflection. Lewis is going to score. Touchdown, Auburn. A miracle in Jordan-Hare.
The prayer in Jordan-Hare ended that one. We can only hope it's that good tonight. Before we kick this one off, we check in with a third member of our team, Holly Rowe.
Well, big news that Todd Gurley is back tonight, and his head coach, Mark Richt, told us that not one single time did he ever hear Todd
asked Mark Richt, are you worried that he might be a little too excited? He said, nope, the more amped up he is, the better he plays. Mark in his 14th year here in Athens. Gus Malzahn in his second season. They're the defending SEC champions. Came up just a little short in the national championship game a year ago to Florida State. Auburn won the toss, and they want the football. So Marshall Morgan's got it teed up, and Corey Grant and Ricardo Lewis will be back on the other end.
And they really want to try to get off to a better start than a week ago. In both of their losses, slow starts and early turnovers have proved to be very detrimental to their cause.
Here we go. The kick will carry to the 1-yard line to Corey Grant. And he's got a seam. Ooh, knocked down at the 30 here. Might have been gone. Malcolm Parrish, a freshman on the special teams, made a what could have been a touchdown saving hit right there.
You're right. Outstanding return. And if it weren't for that hit, he might have still been running and only had the kicker to elude.
So here's the senior from Pineview, Georgia. And if you ask Nick where Pineview is, he says out in the middle of nowhere. Quite a player. And again, a former Bulldog. I'd say the crowd is ready. First down, Tigers from their own 30. Quick swing pass out to Rock Thomas. And Thomas got about 4. Jordan Jenkins planted him there. And Auburn, as they normally do without a huddle, up to the line in a hurry. Second down and 6. Cameron Artis-Payne, the leading rusher in the conference behind Marshall, but he's going to flare it out again, this time to Ricardo Lewis. They use Ricardo in a lot of different ways. He picked up 3 more. And Leonard Floyd, who didn't play much and didn't play very effectively a week ago, in on the hit.
Yeah, Leonard Floyd's had a shoulder problem the entire season, and it's really kind of bothering him. He's tried to play through it. He's a very talented guy, but he's not been 100% all season. 55%
on their third down conversions. And part of that's because they always seem to end up with about a 3rd and 2.
Yep.
And that's what they've got right here.
Well, and it's always a run-pass option, and when you got a guy like Marshall, very dangerous to contain him.
He'll throw for it. 3 swing passes in a row, and they're going to get the first down. That's Rock Thomas, the freshman, knocked out of bounds, but he picks up the first.
Interesting. 3 plays in a row, as you mentioned, swing passes, and 2 of the 3 were actually laterals thrown behind the receiver. But good execution on the first 3 plays. Again, Gus Malzahn wanted to get off to a better start, both offensively and defensively tonight, than they did a week ago.
And they have with a first down at the 43. Lewis in motion, they fake it to him, and it's Marshall who'll get the carry, and he got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's about it. The Dogs knock him back, but he'll get about a half-yard out of it.
You mentioned their third down efficiency. It's critical when you play defense against Auburn. You've got to get some stops for 0 yardage or negative yardage on first down to put them a little bit behind the sticks. If you don't, if they continue to be efficient on first down and get 6 or 7 yards, they're almost impossible to slow down offensively.
That's what Georgia did there, because it's second down and about 9.5 right here. Marshall, play action. Deep middle, high, and almost picked off back there. And Dominic Sanders, a freshman, had his hands on it.
And good pass rush by Jordan Jenkins. He actually got a hit on Nick Marshall, took Nick Marshall to the ground at the end of the throw. And it brings up a third down and long. And this is where Georgia's defense has the advantage. They're very good at pressuring the quarterback in third down situations.
Third down and 9. They're coming after Marshall here. He gets the pass away, and this one's caught. Uzama with a first down catch.
Uzama playing out wide some tonight because of the absence of Duke Williams. He did this last year. He's listed as a tight end, but he has wide receiver skills, and he used that big body to go up and catch the high throw away from the defender.
And they pick up 12 on 3rd and 9 and into Georgia territory. It's 44-yard line. Opening drive of the game for Auburn, and they've moved it from their own 30 to the Georgia 44. And finally, the leading rusher in the conference, Cameron Artis-Payne, gets a carry as we take a look at our Chick-fil-A impact players. Cameron Artis-Payne, one of them. Sammy Coates has got to pick up that slack from Duke Williams. Lorenzo Carter had a huge game last week for Georgia, and Damian Swan's probably the best cover guy in the Georgia secondary. 2nd down and 5. Blitz coming off the corner. Artis-Payne takes it the other way. Got a couple. I don't think he's going to have the first down, but it's closer now that I look at it. And maybe he did get it the first down on that one.
Well, if not, 3rd and short. And again, right in the wheelhouse for this Auburn offense. They're efficient. They average right around 7 yards per play on 1st down. And they stay ahead of the sticks. They dictate the game by being efficient on 1st and 2nd down.
They've got about the length of the football to go here on 3rd down. And Marshall will do it himself. And he got the first, and he got a bunch more. Pickup of 9 before Corey Moore knocks him down.
Not sure if this is a read or a design quarterback run to get out on the perimeter. One of the best parts of this Auburn offense is their ability to run outside the tackles, and Nick Marshall, a big part of that. And that's also been one of the weaknesses for this Georgia defense, is defending runs outside the tackles on the perimeter.
School record for the quarterbacks for Auburn in 100-yard games. Artis-Payne follows his blockers beautifully, heads to the sideline and the end zone. Touchdown, Auburn. You talk about the fast start they wanted, they got it.
Well, they got a great block by Slade, the guard, Ricardo Lewis, the wide receiver, and again, outside the tackles, this Georgia defense was hurt by Florida a couple weeks ago when the Gators ran for over 400 yards, and Auburn gets them on the perimeter 2 plays in a row, that one for a touchdown.
Carlson in for the point after. And a quiet crowd at Sanford Stadium right now. Cameron Artis-Payne, leading rusher in the conference. His 10th score on the ground, capping a 70-yard drive in 10 plays. Tigers' quick start in Athens. In a Georgia uniform. He'll be trailing by a touchdown. First 5 games, 733 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. October 9th, Georgia announced indefinite suspension pending an investigation about signing autographs. On the 22nd, Georgia seeking reinstatement after he sat out a couple of games with the NCAA. Said, no, it's going to be 4 games. You have to repay a portion of the $3,000 you got, and upholding that position on October 30th. And I would think that he is ready to get his hands on the football. They're going to give him a chance on a kick return.
Well, the last time we were here, we saw him take a kickoff 100 yards for a touchdown against Clemson.
Part of a 293 total yardage day, which is a school record here in Athens. So Carlson to kick. Will he kick it to him? He will. Todd Gurley 5 yards deep, and here he comes. And Todd Gurley might be gone. Flag is down as Gurley heads to the end zone. But is it all coming back? Without the penalty, could you have drawn up a return any more dramatic?
Well, there's 38 right in the middle. Whether there was a hold or not, there's the hold. There's the grab on the jersey. Ryan Rankin, number 38. But make no mistake, number 3 is back.
It just makes you smile that a play like that could happen, but they're going to have to earn it now as it comes back to the 22-yard line. And Todd's on the sideline for the upcoming first snap because I'm sure that took a little wind out of his sails.
Yeah, I would have thought the first play would have been a play-action fake to him and a deep throw, but with that kickoff return, he's got to get his wind back here after one play.
Well, Nick Chubb, who's done a great job in his absence, gets the carry. And Chubb doing what he's done for the 4 games that Gurley's been out.
Nick Chubb not quite as big as Todd Gurley, but a very heavy runner in the words of Mike Bobo. He's a hard guy to tackle. He runs with great leverage and low pad level. And you're right. I mean, in Todd Gurley's absence, I don't know that Georgia could have asked for anything better than what they got from Nick Chubb. The lowest number of yards he gained in any of those 4 games was 143.
He got 11 on the first touch of the night for him. Quick throw out to Chris Conley. Conley got a nice block, and he got the edge. And he's out to midfield, and now into Tiger territory down to the 47-yard line.
Beautiful block by Bennett, the other wide receiver out there in front of him. We're going to see right now something we saw in practice. That's Chubb and Gurley in the backfield together. They've not shown this, obviously, for the last few weeks because Gurley was on suspension. They've got a couple different things they do.
And it's Chubb, the fullback in this case, for about a yard. We haven't even talked about Hudson Mason yet because of the running backs and the kickoff returns and the Auburn offense. But this guy's had a really stellar season. He takes care of the football beautifully.
His one time to be the starting quarterback, and it was interesting talking to him yesterday. He said he thinks he kind of put too much pressure on himself a little bit.
To be perfect.
Yep.
Now they're telling him just let it rip. You only got 4 or 5 games left in your career. This one's low, incomplete, intended for Towns, and Mason hit after he threw.
The thing about the Georgia offense, now we won't see it on this 3rd down play, but their play-action passing game is really effective because of how well they've run the football. Auburn is the #1 rushing team in the SEC. Georgia is the 2nd best rushing team.
Georgia's not afraid to run on 3rd and long either. Gurley's in there. 3 receivers to Mason's right. And look at the eyes of Todd Gurley, waiting to see who he's going to have to pick up on the rush. And Mason's going deep. Man there. Got him. No, he dropped it. McKenzie had it. It would have been a touchdown. And Mason knows it, and so does McKenzie.
Well, it was a 0 coverage. Full blitz. The corner blitz was picked up by Gurley. They got McKenzie, their fast slot receiver, matched up on the safety Whitehead. And that's a touchdown all the way if McKenzie can just grab the football. Good read, good blitz pickup. Just didn't execute the catch.
Adam Erickson is into punt. The punting game has been a sore spot for Georgia all season long. And he's going to throw. And he's got a man wide open at the 30. Down the sideline. Georgia. Did he get in? Out at the 2.
What a fake punt.
Kenneth Williams. So Georgia's had 2 huge plays on special teams, and both by penalty will be coming back.
Wow. 54, you're allowed to go 3 yards past. 54, I don't think he gets more than 3 yards past the line of scrimmage. Here's 54 right here.
Well, if he got more than 3, it was about 4.
I mean, so many of these offenses now where they fake the run and they run block and then throw the football, they get away with that. I don't see that being a penalty. We have Bill Lamonier in the booth. Bill, isn't that the same rule on a kicking situation, the 3 yards?
It's the same rule. He gets the 3-yard zone, and it didn't appear he went the 3 yards.
Wow, what a bad break for the Bulldogs.
So now Colin Barber, the other punter, is in to kick. And a fair catch taken at around the 14-yard line by Quan Bray. 8:48 remaining first half. A lot of could have beens and maybe should have beens. Still Auburn 7-0.
Hampton. ESPN ESPN College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. Feel the Hamptonality. And in part by Ford. Beautiful things happen when you go further.
One of the millions of Uggas around town, and then there's the real Ugga, 9. Russ, wake up. Wake up, Russ. Looks like he's been putting on the Purina for the winter, doesn't he? Looks a little heavier than when we saw him against Clemson.
I didn't know dogs slept standing up or sitting
sort
up.
of like horses.
Yeah.
Oh, Russ. Wake up, man. Your team is down. There's Harry Dog. 7-0 Tigers. They go to the quick huddle and out of the quick huddle at the 14-yard line. And this one, with a flag, stopped before the snap.
Jeremy Pruitt, the defensive coordinator for Georgia, said of all the things that Auburn does offensively, that's the hardest. When they line up that quick huddle, because you got to get lined up and you don't know.
On the offense, number 82, lined up in the neutral zone.
You don't know exactly where they're going. You know, the tempo is a problem with Auburn. The eye candy and all the motion is a problem you have to deal with. But that little quick huddle, he says, is the most difficult. Of course, Jeremy Pruitt was the defensive coordinator at Florida State last year, playing against this Auburn team in the national championship game.
And 8 days later, took the defensive coordinator job here with Mark Richt and the Georgia staff. Tigers backed up to their 9-yard line now with a penalty, 1st and 15. Artis Payne cuts in the middle and found an opening. And he's going to have 10. It looks like a first down run before Quincy Mauger can bring him down.
Just good patience by Artis Payne. This looked like it was going to be stopped for no gain. He just kind of waited, and then he found a little crease and showed acceleration, hitting it to the backside of the play.
Let me correct myself. That was on 1st and 15. He got 14 yards on the carry. 2nd down and 1. And he gets it again. He's dropped for a loss. Nice play by Amarlo Herrera, the leading tackler on the Georgia team.
This Auburn offense this year is not as devastating in their run game as they were a year ago, but I think they're a more dangerous offense because they have more balance. That first scoring drive, they had 5 runs and 5 passes. Nick Marshall is a much better passer in this offense this year. I think they're more difficult to defend because of their balance.
Can do a lot of things with their offense on 3rd down and 3. They're perfect on their 3rd down conversion so far. 3 for 3. Artis Payne, they fake it to him. Marshall trying to dance his way through, and he does. Out to the 29, 1st down Auburn.
The last time we had Auburn, and the word I used to describe Nick Marshall was slippery. And this shows it right here. He just kind of bounces and jukes a little bit. He's a hard guy to get on the ground. He's not overly big or strong, but he's a difficult guy to tackle and get to the ground.
1st and 10 at the 28.
I should mention they're playing without their best receiver, leading receiver, and Duke Williams out with a knee injury. Sammy Coates is their other big-time receiver down at the bottom of the screen.
Artis Payne, little hesitation, and then he puts the speed together to get out to the 35-yard line. Nice job of following his blockers. He got 7 more on that one. Cameron Artis Payne out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Went through the junior college ranks last week. 221 yards in the loss to Texas A&M. He's got 54 already here in the 1st quarter. They'll get another carry, trying to bounce it outside. Georgia won't let him this time. And it's Herrera again that made first contact. We talked with Jeremy Pruitt, and I said, of your linebacking core, who gets it the most over there as far as what Auburn does offensively? He said number 52.
Yeah. Well, the linebackers are the strength of this defense. They've got some talented guys with Herrera and Wilson, Floyd, Lorenzo Carter, Jordan Jenkins. And this is a play where they need to rise up and make a play here. Again, it's 3rd down and very manageable situation for Nick Marshall and the Auburn offense.
4th time they've been 3rd down and 3 or less. This time he gives it to Payne again. Little quick opening draw, and he might be short this time.
Very close.
Auburn has accidentally gone for it on 4th down twice this year. We might see number 3 coming up right here. Here comes the punting unit.
I think this is the right move by Gus Malzahn. There's no point in it. Don't do anything to incite this crowd to help the Georgia defense.
So Hutchinson will punt. Isaiah McKenzie, the freshman, first player ever in Georgia history to have a kick and punt return for a touchdown in the same game against Kentucky a week ago. So he's a dangerous guy, and he's dropped the touchdown pass, or what would have been a touchdown pass tonight. Just got to get everybody out of the way, as this one's going to bounce around the 34, 35-yard line. Only a 28-yard punt, so pretty good field position for Georgia. 4:43 remaining in the first quarter. And the Dogs and Gurley will be on offense when we come back.
Monday Night Football.
Celebrating its 10th year, sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, All-State makes contributions to participating universities' scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. Since 2005, All-State has contributed more than $3.7 million in scholarship funds. Brad Nessler, Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe, and our ESPN crew. Sanford Stadium in Athens, where the Dogs trail by 7. Todd Gurley back in at tailback on a first down from the 35. And the toss is to Gurley. Auburn trying to track him down, and they'll drop him for a 1-yard loss as we take a look at our impact players, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Nick Chubb, great job of Gurley, as we talked about. Chris Conley had a couple of touchdown catches last week. He's really coming on. Montravius Adams, probably the best of the front wall for Auburn. And Casanova McKenzie, the reason we made him an impact player, he just showed you. He's a 250-pound middle linebacker that can move. And Gurley dragged down for a loss again. This time Ben Bradley collared him.
Ben Bradley showed great penetration from his defensive tackle position. He read the movement of the line in front of him, got penetration in the backfield, and was able to get Gurley before he got started.
Well, Georgia with a 3rd and long here. A week ago, they were perfect on 3rd downs against Kentucky, 8 for 8.
The weakness of this Auburn defense over the last month has been their pass defense, giving up over 320 yards a game. Big chance for them to get a stop here.
Hudson Mason, plenty of time. Down the middle, just off the fingertips of Jay Rome, the tight end. And Georgia's got to kick it away.
Pretty good coverage by Josh Holsey, the safety. A smaller guy working on a big tight end. Was in good position in man coverage.
Would have been a tough catch, but got his hands on it. So Barber in to punt. Remember, if you just joined us, Todd Gurley had a 100-yard kickoff return called back on a hold. Georgia had a 41-yard fake punt that was called back because of an illegal man downfield. So 2 special team plays that have backfired on them because of penalties. And their punting game has been not the greatest this year. It's a little better kick. At least it hangs it up there, and he dropped it. And Georgia's got it, I think. Lucas Red was the first guy down there that appeared to have covered it. And finally we get the official signal. Georgia ball.
Well, I think what happened too is Damian Swan, number 5, was the first guy down the field, and I think he distracted Quan Bray. Bray called for the fair catch, and watched Damian Swan just cross in front of his face, and I think that little bit of a distraction created the turnover.
So a break goes Georgia's way on special teams. At the 19-yard line. So an opportunity here in the red zone. Mason trying to quiet the crowd down on first down. Todd Gurley cuts it outside, puts his hand on the ground to keep his balance, and he made 11 yards out of what I thought was going to be nothing.
You know, one of the amazing stats about Todd Gurley before the suspension is he was hit at or the line of scrimmage or behind it 25 times and yet still averaged over 4 yards per carry on those runs. As a perfect example, hit behind the line, still got a positive gain.
1st and goal. Gurley put a stiff arm in Gabe Wright, but Gabe Wright at 285 pounds brought him down. And right around the 7. That's what Todd was just talking about.
It's, you know, 4 yards for any offense is considered a win on a run play.
Yeah.
And he was doing that while being hit at or behind the line of scrimmage.
2nd down and goal at the 7. 2 tight ends out there. Quavon Hicks, one of them, just backed up into a fullback position in front of Gurley. Mason's going to throw a fade to the corner. Conley had his hands on it and couldn't hold it.
Well, that's 2 now. 2 passes put in the right place by Hudson Mason. They could have been touchdowns for Georgia. Conley has kind of fallen back. The ball's thrown away from the defender, and he got both hands on it.
Jonathan Jones was covering, and he got up and looked like he was a little shaken after going up in the air with Conley. Jones is the guy that leads Auburn in interceptions with 5.
Wouldn't be surprised to see him try to throw the ball to Gurley on this 3rd down play down here inside the 10.
3rd and goal. Mason fires a slant. Got him. Mitchell, touchdown. Malcolm Mitchell just rounding back into form. And we're an extra point away from a tie game. Marshall Morgan in for the point after. Up and good. 2:15 remaining in the 1st quarter. And after the fumble recovery on the punt, Malcolm Mitchell, who had a touchdown catch last week, gets another here tonight. Number 16 for Hudson Mason. 7 up in Athens.
$5 only at Burger King.
Auburn 7, Georgia 7. Let's take a look at how Georgia's finding success. Brought to you by Expedia. Todd.
Well, they found it with formation. First of all, Georgia's going to put 3 wide receivers over on this side of the field, and what that's going to do is cause this safety to just go over enough to give this slant route room. It opened that window just enough by moving the safety slightly off the hash. That window was open enough for Hudson Mason. He had to throw it on time, but he threw it with timing and accuracy, and Malcolm Mitchell got the touchdown.
I'll tell you that was a little kitchen window. That wasn't a big bay window.
It was a little window.
Yeah. Malcolm Mitchell, who last year missed the season with a torn ACL, and then he had that same knee scoped in July, and so he's just kind of getting back into form, and he's their big play specialist that they were missing earlier in the season.
Yeah, they told us yesterday they thought he was about ready to explode.
Yeah.
You know, he's feeling more and more confident with his knee, and a good start for him in this ball game.
Look out for that guy too, number 4, Quan Bray, one of the better return men in the country. This one's too deep though. Nice kick by Morgan. He'll take a knee. We'll bring it out to the 25, and we'll send it out to Reese Davis for the first time. Reese.
Brad, SportsCenter right now brought to you by Dell, and the individual performance of the day, Wisconsin's Melvin Gordon went for 408 yards on 25 carries against Nebraska. Wisconsin won easily. Gordon's performance slipping past LaDainian Tomlinson for the best in FBS history.
That is absolutely sick. 408 yards. So he's got the single game rushing record now. Ron Dane's got the all-time career rushing mark for college, and Monte Ball's got the all-time touchdown mark. Maybe if you're a running back, you want to go to Wisconsin.
Wow. Doesn't matter who the coach is either. I mean, they've changed coaches, and they still keep grinding it out.
Here's Artis Payne, a pretty good running back in his own right. Got about 1.5 yards. Ramik Wilson tracked him down from behind.
Again, to have a shot defending Auburn, you've got to make some plays on first down. You have to put them in a little bit of stress, which is 2nd down and 10, 2nd down and 9, like they have right here. If it's 2nd down and 6 or 5, you don't have much chance against them.
And here's what the Tigers do. Look to the sideline to Gus Malzahn. Nick Marshall might even have an eye on Rhett Lashley, the offensive coordinator, before this snap. And on 2nd down and 8, it's a swing pass again out to Marcus Davis. Nice move. Got it across the 30 to the 32. Same guy, Rameek Wilson, made the tackle.
Well, you mentioned Gus Malzahn and Rhett Lashley. They've been together a long time. They know each other very well. One of them stands in one position on the field behind the play. Rhett Lashley stands down the field ahead of the play. And the two of them kind of communicate verbally over the headset and non-verbally. And then they communicate to Nick Marshall.
3rd down and 4 from the 31. Marshall, plenty of time, down the middle and complete. Sammy Coates, and he's got a 1st down at the 43, maybe the 44-yard line. Pick up a 13.
Again, you see the versatility of this offense and Nick Marshall throwing from the pocket. You know, last year when he took over, I mean, he joined them in August. He had no spring football. He wasn't as familiar with the offense. He's had a whole year in the system and a spring, a much more polished passer in this Auburn offense this year.
This time he's going to keep it himself. Heading to the sideline. Georgia stretches it out pretty well, but he's still got about 5 yards before Aaron Davis ran him out of bounds.
Interesting to see where Nick Marshall was going to look to throw the football on 3rd downs without Duke Williams. That was kind of his security blanket on 3rd down. He's hit Uzama for a big 3rd down conversion, and that last one, he hit Sammy Coates.
I don't think they're going to get another playoff before the end of the quarter here. And a good quarter it was. Auburn started strong, scored first. Georgia had some big plays called back, but then after a fumbled punt, they scored as well. And in the first 15 minutes, we're tied at 7.
Emily, check this out.
Get your NFL Sunday started tomorrow morning on ESPN 10 a.m. It's NFL Sunday Countdown presented by Snickers. Chris Berman and the gang providing all the latest news and updates from around the NFL right up until kickoff. NFL Countdown also available on Watch ESPN. Well, here after a quarter, Georgia and Auburn tied. Todd Gurley staying warm over there on the bike. It is a very cool night in Athens. I don't know there's that many warm places in the country right now. Looked really toasty in Minneapolis today for the Gophers at Ohio State. We open the quarter with Auburn at the Georgia 48-yard line. 2nd down and 6. Ricardo Lewis in motion. Marshall to throw, and he throws it in the ground. Lewis was the intended receiver. Damian Swann was coming on a corner blitz, and Marshall had to get rid of that one before he wanted to.
Well, another 3rd down situation for Nick Marshall.
He's hit 3 different guys on 3rd down so far.
It's interesting. Rhett Lashley said, you know, without Duke Williams, it might end up being a little bit of a blessing in disguise. We might spread the football around a little bit more in our passing game. And so far tonight, that's what Marshall's done.
He's got 2 receivers to each side. Marshall in trouble here, throws on the run, and he got it over. Flag down. It would be a 1st down, but I think we're going to have a holding on the Tigers. Sean Coleman. Yeah, sorry, Todd.
Yeah, Jordan Jenkins, outstanding pass rusher from his outside linebacker position. He leads this team with 19 quarterback pressures.
Offense 72, 10-yard penalty.
So that negates a 17-yard play that would have been a 1st down and brings it back into Auburn territory. Going to spot it down at about the 38-yard line.
Now, the thing you have to be careful if you're Georgia here is one of the things that Auburn does is they will take shots and throw a deep pass on 3rd and long. Last year, the miracle play was 4th and 18, You can't relax, even though it's 3rd and long.
3rd and 16. They're going to throw a little slip screen out to the outside. Leonard Floyd was waiting for that one. He's still going to make the tackle, I think.
Great individual play by Floyd.
Got him twice. Didn't bring him down the first half.
He read the screen. It was a wide receiver screen. He read it from his outside linebacker position. And then he just kind of hung on and hoped for extra red jerseys to get there. He wasn't able to get Coates on the ground by himself, but he stayed with it and ended up getting the tackle at the end.
He had such a great season last year that he was a lot of people's preseason choice to be an All-American. But as Ledge said earlier, battling a shoulder injury all season long, he hasn't quite had the numbers, but he looks like he came to play tonight. Carlson to punt. Nice kick is going to chase McKenzie to the far side of the field. He'll have to just let it go. And it's going to stop right about where it bounced. 13:35 remaining first half. Georgia back on offense in a tie game when we come back.
Some choose.
All tied up in Athens on a bittersweet night for the Bulldogs quarterback Hudson Mason. You see, one of his best friends in the world, a fellow high school teammate, used to play for Auburn, Philip Lutzenkirchen. He said it's been a very eerie, weird week. All week he's been waiting for a text or a phone call from his friend who was killed in this offseason. He knows that Philip would have called him to say, hey, I'm cheering for you this weekend even though you're playing Auburn. Of course, Philip was such a huge part of this Auburn football team and football family. They miss him so much, but Hudson Mason, one of his high school friends, thinking of him wearing a baseball cap on the sideline with number 43 on the cap. He is close to Hudson Mason's heart as well as the Auburn fans tonight.
Well, we all miss Philip Lutzenkirchen, that's for sure. Todd Gurley, nice opening ball came out at the end of the play, and I think he got back on top of it anyway. Robinson Therese in on the tackle, and Hudson Mason, just to wrap that story up, he was talking about Philip's parents being at the game, and he said, I know they'll be wearing their Auburn colors, but, and his voice sort of trailed off, meaning I think they'll be cheering for me.
Yeah.
2nd down and 1.
Terrific story on game day by Tom Rinaldi today about Philip Lutzenkirchen's family and the mission that his father has taken on.
And if you missed that, you can see it on ESPN.com. Todd Gurley, 1st down.
You know, the only thing you worry about with Todd Gurley with that layoff, he obviously is in good shape and he's done a great job of maintaining his cardiovascular conditioning, but he hasn't had any live hits.
Yeah.
So that ball security, it came out there on that 1st down play. That's the only concern you might have, is ball security, and Georgia has been great so far this season. Only 6 turnovers on the entire season coming into tonight.
Nick Chubb will take his place, and Nick Chubb will get the carry, and he is hard to bring down, and he's got a 1st down. Well, dude runs over more guys than most people we see.
When we were here for the Clemson game, we knew they had a ridiculous kind of depth at tailback. As again, you see the balance, the low center of gravity of Nick Chubb.
They toss it to him here. Chubb follows his fullback. There goes 10 more. There goes 12 more. That's why he's one of our impact players tonight.
You know, what was cool about Nick Chubb is he was probably happier than anybody on this Georgia team about the return of Todd Gurley. I mean, he knew that that was the best thing for the team, and sharing the load, sharing the carries, you keep fresh legs at that tailback position.
And we haven't even mentioned Sony Michel, who's not going to play tonight, as Mason throws a strike to Michael Bennett.
See, that's what this play action offense can be. When you run the ball as well as Georgia has been able to run it, that play action is open. It's all up to Hudson Mason to throw the ball on time, and he's done that so far tonight. That was beautiful timing to convert.
1st down for the Dogs, just inside their own 43-yard line. Again, Chubb, the tailback in the eye. Quavon Hicks in front of him. There's a play fake. Mason wants a long one here. Deep ball, overshot everybody to the end zone. It was Chris Conley, the intended receiver.
Pretty good coverage that time. Safety coming over the top. Jonathan Ford, number 23, back there.
Reggie Davis comes in as a wide receiver for Georgia on 2nd and 10.
One of the guys who's back for Auburn that's helping this secondary out, Jermaine Whitehead right here, number 35. He was a starter, a 3-year starter, suspended for 4 games, then came back and played only special teams.
Here's Chubb, broke a tackle. Chubb inside the 25, dragging Jermaine Whitehead with him to the sideline. Another 19 yards for the freshman.
Well, they have an unblocked guy. Watch Chris Frost, number 17. He's unblocked in the hole, but he can't get Chubb on the ground. I mean, it's a good defensive call. You've got a linebacker right there in the hole, and Nick Chubb just made him look silly and got the ball to the perimeter.
Nick goes 11, 12, and then 19, and now here comes Todd Gurley back in to the Georgia backfield. First down at the 18-yard line. And it's Gurley. And he bounces off a tackler and got 4. It was Anthony Swain, the linebacker, that got him down.
What Georgia's MO has been, other than the Florida game when they got behind and had to throw a lot more, has been to run and pound the ball at you and impose their will on you, particularly as it gets to the 3rd and 4th quarter.
They got McKenzie in there in the slot now on the left side, and he's a little lightning bolt, but this is going to be Gurley again for no gain.
Well, it's obvious that Auburn's defense is clued in to Todd Gurley. Now, they haven't been as clued into Nick Chubb because Chubb has kind of run through their defense. But Todd Gurley has not had a lot of space when he's got the football.
Gurley comes out. Chubb goes back in. 3rd down and 7.
Here's that 3 wide receivers to the left where they tried to isolate Malcolm Mitchell. They got the isolation on the touchdown. He's down at the bottom of the screen, the single receiver.
And Conley is the guy to the top. Mason flushed out of the pocket. Trying to extend the play. Lobbed it down there. It's caught by Mitchell, but he's short of the first down. It'll be 4th down and 1.
Pretty good job by Hudson Mason extending the play, buying a little extra time.
Mark Richt's going to go for this.
He's certainly taking his time in making this decision. Mike Bobo is offensive coordinator, longtime coordinator up in the booth next to us, and now they're going to go for the field goal.
They thought a long time, long and hard about the decision, and they'll bring out Marshall Morgan.
Here's Mike Bobo.
Morgan 8 out of 11 on the year. He had a string at one point where he hit 20 straight field goals. This one should be an easy one, but maybe Coach Richt is going to think this over again. Takes a timeout. And that sets up the anticipation from the crowd on whether or not they're going to go on 4th down. We'll find out with you when we come back.
To pursue your passion.
15% or more on car insurance.
We've still got a special teams huddle and an offensive huddle out on the field for Georgia. We're about to find out if Mark Richt has decided to go for it or kick the field goal. That's 4th down and 1 at the 9-yard line.
Well, I definitely think he wanted a little bit more time to think about it. The play clock was really not in danger of going out.
The offense. Nick Chubb in the backfield. Hudson Mason again trying to quiet the crowd, reacting to the fact that they were hoping the Dogs would go for it. Well, here they go. Georgia's 7 out of 9 on 4th down conversions. Everybody packed in tight, including Quavon Hicks. Maybe they're trying to make him draw him off sides. Nope, it's Chubb. And it's Nick Chubb to the end zone. Touchdown.
Greg Pike, the right guard, was moved out to the tight end position on this play. It was an unbalanced line, and he drove the linebacker all the way into the end zone, and Nick Chubb ran right up his back.
And if you saw a very excited number 61, that's the center, David Andrews, for Georgia, one of their captains and one of their leaders, showing how fired up they were to go on 4th and 1. Their coach had faith. Nick Chubb came through. 9-yard touchdown.
Greg Pike is right here. He's normally the right guard. He is going to block the linebacker right up into the end zone, and Nick Chubb is going to run right behind him. 73 gets on his man, and Nick Chubb runs right on his left hip into the end zone. The Georgia coaches told us they thought that Greg Pike was going to be a great, great player,
he paved the way. And there's David Andrews, the leader, not only the offensive line, they think he's the top leader on this football team. I'd say he's a little excited.
I'd say so. Senior out of Johns Creek, Georgia. And the Dogs had the lead.
And linemen love when you go for it on fourth down. I mean, they love when you show that kind of confidence and that kind of love in your offensive line, and then you make a statement by scoring a touchdown.
And oh, by the way, Nick Chubb, 51 yards on an 83-yard drive, capped by his 9-yard touchdown. Wouldn't it be tough to have an All-American in Todd Gurley, and then you just got to put that kid in when Todd needs a breather? Man. Georgia with its first lead now with 8:48 remaining in the half. Corey Grant and Ricardo Lewis wait on the other end. Ricardo Lewis from the 2. Not going to make it to the 20. Nice job by the Bulldog special teams. Now coming up on Monday night, Big Ben and the Steelers heading to Nashville to take on the Titans. 8 o'clock on ESPN, and watch ESPN. No other nights like Monday night. And Zach Mettenberger in his rookie season, the starter now for the Titans. And Roethlisberger was rolling. Had back-to-back games with 6 touchdowns until a week ago. Things went a little bit sour. But it's the Steelers and the Titans on Monday night.
One of the things I think we're going to see in this possession, maybe even this first play, is Auburn trying to get the ball down the field to Sammy Coates. He's had 2 catches tonight, only 14 yards, but he's a big play receiver.
Artis Payne got to the 20, maybe the 21. Herrera, the first guy there, and got help from his friends.
Sammy Coates is a big receiver at 6'2", 201 pounds. He's not been 100% for most of this year. He's getting closer and closer, but he can really catch the ball in traffic, and he can go up down the field and make great plays on the football.
He's got 11 career touchdown catches, averaging 48.5 yards per. That's kind of a big play guy. He's to the top of your screen. 2nd down and 7. Lewis and Uzuma to the left side. Artis Payne straight ahead. He's not going to get the first down. Herrera and Wilson, the 2 linebackers, combined on the hit, but he did get 6 yards.
Doesn't get the first down, but he gets him into that really good range of 3rd and short, where this Auburn offense has excelled. That's why they come into the ball game converting 55% on 3rd down.
That's 2nd in the country. Team just down the road. Georgia Tech is number 1 in that category coming into today's play. And he's not. Yes, he is. 2nd effort, he got it. He was going to be stopped at the line of scrimmage, but he squirted out of there and picked up the first down.
It's interesting that you say Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech, everybody knows, is a triple option team. Auburn is really a triple option team. It doesn't look the same as Georgia Tech's offense, but it's very similar conceptually, and that's why both of them are excellent on 3rd downs and obviously running the football.
Georgia Tech, big winner at home today over Clemson. Play action, and the ball with Artis Payne. Well, that was some sleight of hand right there. He picks up about 7.
You mentioned the circuitous route that Cameron Artis Payne has taken to get to Auburn. Started at Harrisburg High School in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Milford Academy in New Berlin, New York for a year of prep school. Then Allen Hancock Junior College out in Santa Maria, California, and now Auburn, Alabama.
He's seen a lot of the country, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
He's the 18th different Auburn back to go over 1,000 yards in a season. He'll get it again. Runs smack into Ramik Wilson. Here's what we were talking about. 5'10", 5'11", 210-pound senior. Todd mentioned 3,412 rushing yards and 43 touchdowns in 2 years in junior college. And yet another 1,000-yard back. 9 career 100-yard rushing games. He's had a really fine season.
The 6th time tonight for Auburn that they've had 3rd down and 3 or less. I mean, that is high percentage stuff.
And this is the quarterback all the way. Marshall is going to go down before he can even get to the line of scrimmage. Marlo Herrera again in on the tackle.
All 3 linebackers. Herrera was there first, followed by Ramik Wilson, and then Leonard Floyd. Watch all 3 of them converge on Nick Marshall. Herrera's there first. Here comes Ramik, and there's Leonard Floyd. Excellent team defense that time by Georgia on 3rd down.
So punting situation. Not sure why McKenzie's not back for Georgia. It's Reggie Davis back as the punt returner for the Bulldogs. Carlson, who does all the kicking chores for Auburn. Lazy punt that's going to take an Auburn bounce. They could hit one of their players.
That hit an Auburn player. Should be dead around the 18-yard line.
I think it was Ike Powell, the snapper, who got down there. And that is where they're going to put it down. So Georgia's got it back just inside their own 20 with a touchdown lead when we come back to Athens in a moment.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
After Todd Gurley's last carry, he ran off the field dangling his left arm. He had it examined by the Director of Athletic Medicine, Ron Corson, and they have fitted him with a big brace on that left elbow. It looks like he is able to return, but guys, this is a big deal because Sony Michel, the other running back, taped up his left ankle, tried to go pregame and could not go, so he's out. We'll see how Gurley's able to respond with that left brace on his elbow.
All right, so Todd Gurley back out there looking like RoboCop on that side of his body. At the tailback spot, 1st down, Georgia at its own 19. And let him carry it. And blasts it out to the 25, pickup of 6. Jonathan Mincy made the stop. And he kind of hung that arm again.
One of the things that's been consistent for Georgia, that offensive line, they've had the same starting 5 every game so far this year. That's why this running game, even in the absence of Todd Gurley, has really maintained a great pace. I mean, yes, Nick Chubb has been outstanding, but the offensive line consistency and continuity has been a big part of that.
The toss to Gurley, trying to follow his fullback. In fact, pushes his fullback and pushes some Tigers for a 1st down.
Good patience by Gurley. They have 2 fullbacks in. Does a nice job of staying right behind Taylor Maxey, number 47. Getting the 1st down.
Down to the 4-minute mark in the half. 35 yards so far. Nick Chubb.
I would expect to see a play-action deep throw opportunity here. Malcolm Mitchell is their deep threat guy.
There's the play action. Here comes the deep ball that Todd called. Man's there. Got it. Chris Conley. Nope. He dropped it.
Jonathan Jones in coverage. Beautiful job at the end of the play. That's a couple deep balls now we've seen. Opportunities for big plays that Georgia not able to come down with. Conley dropped one in the end zone. And this looks like another ball that Conley should have been able to corral. He had it. But credit Jonathan Jones for not giving up on the play, fighting to the very end and being able to rip that ball out.
Hudson Mason's grabbed his helmet like that 3 times because he's had 3 drops that should have been caught. This time he keeps it for a pickup of a couple. He doesn't run much. He's not a bad runner, but that's not Georgia's offense. Not when you got the tailbacks they have. So Gurley comes back out. So does McKenzie. Haven't really got it in McKenzie's hands offensively, though he had a long ball that would have been a touchdown, and he let it slip through his fingers.
He's a matchup problem because he's very fast, and as a slot, he's usually going to get a safety in coverage.
He's in a slot on the right side on 3rd down and 8. Mason throws, and it's intercepted. No, it's dropped. Might have gotten lucky there. That was Trevon Reed, who had a better play on the ball than the receiver did.
Well, Trevon Reed used to be a receiver himself. He's moved to defensive back, and he read this throw of Hudson Mason and cut right underneath the intended receiver, Reggie Davis, and almost came away with an interception.
Reggie did a pretty nice job of becoming the defensive back on that one to get a hand in there. So Colin Barber to punt.
Too many dropped ball opportunities for Georgia in this game so far.
That's for sure.
You know, Auburn is a team that can explode on you offensively, and you can't let too many of those chances go by the wayside.
Oh, and a punt that almost was blocked, and the flag comes down. They're going to rough the punter here, and he's just so lucky he got that off. He's not feeling too good about it right now.
I don't know how he did get it off. I mean, that looked like an absolute sure block.
Personal foul, roughing the kicker.
Gray King was in there. And, you know, you tell these guys to go to the spot where you expect the ball to be, not at the foot of the punter. I mean, that should have been a clear block. He just didn't go to the right spot. If he goes a foot and a half out in front of the foot, he gets that block easily. Instead of getting the block, he gets the leg of the punter and gets the penalty and a new possession for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Colin Barber's lower leg took one for the team there, but he's happy about it even though he's limping around on the sideline. Georgia's got it at the 47-yard line after the penalty. Nick Chubb back in at tailback. Mason in the shotgun. Throws short to Chubb, middle screen. Chubb broke one tackle. Down the sideline, broke another. Nick Chubb out of bounds, a flag at the end of the play.
Yeah, I think they're going to get holding on Malcolm Mitchell down the field.
And he didn't need to do it.
Nope.
They weren't going to get much more out of that play anyway.
They'll still get the first down, but it'll just lose some of the yardage at the end of the play. But boy, every time Nick Chubb touches the ball, I mean, there's you hold your breath.
Offense 26, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
It's just a little middle screen. I think Georgia's screen game is as good as there is in college football. They really work hard at it.
Penalty, it's a first down.
There's the hole downfield by Mitchell.
That's a hard assignment, asking a wide receiver to sustain a block that long, but you just can't grab the jersey as he did at the end of that play.
As Ledge said, though, still a first down at the Auburn 42. Chubb, two guys bring him down after a short game this time, led by Jamel President.
When we were here for the Clemson game, we talked about the depth at this running back position with Todd Gurley and the two freshmen at that time, Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, who we've not seen. And of course, there was Keith Marshall, who has missed the last 6 games with ankle and knee injuries.
Bennett got a first down. Michael Bennett, senior out of Alpharetta, goes for 13.
Michael Bennett's had a really nice season this year. He's had injuries the last couple years. He stayed healthy this year, and he comes into the ballgame as the team's leading receiver.
Gurley back in. Chubb goes out from the 26. And it's Todd Gurley straight up the middle. About 12 before they bring him down.
Nice double team that time by Brandon Kubelow, the left guard, and David Andrews. Gurley runs right behind that. Kublano and Andrews with a nice double team. Power football.
Trevon Reed, the guy shaken up on the play. We'll check out his injury with 1:36 to go in the half when we return.
To pursue your passion, sometimes you have to stray from the path. Mitsubishi designs cars for people who follow their heart instead of the crowd. Because when you go your own direction, every mile matters. Find your own lane. Lease a 2015 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport now for $199 a month.
Come and play with me. You can meet some of my friends. They're really excited to meet you. Do you want to come and play? Game of War. Play for free now from the App Store.
LifeProof cases for iPhone and Galaxy. Get 25% off select cases at lifeproof.com.
Pete Jennings won over $2 million playing fantasy sports at DraftKings.com. He's off living the high life, so we've got the next best thing. Puppets. Hi, I'm Pete Jennings. Thanks to DraftKings.com, I've got all this money. Yeah! Wow, playing DraftKings one-day games with your season-long team was a good idea. Sure was. Hey, babe. Use promo code PLAYER to play and get a free entry in the Millionaire Maker event this Sunday. Winner gets $1 million.
I'm Reese Davis. Coming up on the Buick Halftime Report, the Tide tops #1 again. We'll show you the spectacular performance by Wisconsin's Melvin Gordon and Florida State Miami underway on ABC. Hurricanes have jumped on top 7-0. Could this be the day we wind up with no Power 5 unbeaten teams, guys?
All right, Reese, we'll see in about a minute and a half. Georgia and Auburn each with 2 losses, both 7-2 coming into this one.
Georgia grinding the ball down here. Pretty good setup here for a play action pass after that extended timeout.
Gurley goes down at the 10, maybe the 9. Anthony Swain made the stop. Thing to remember, depending on that elbow of Todd Gurley, he gets better in the second half.
Yes, he does.
11th play of the Bulldog drive here. 2nd down and 7. We approach 1 minute. They have 2 timeouts remaining. Gurley again searching for room. Cuts it outside and flag down. I think Todd that time he carried the ball in his right arm and didn't want to switch it to the left, and it may have cost him a chance to throw a stiff arm with the other hand.
I'm sure it would feel strange trying to protect the ball with that brace on his elbow.
61, 10-yard penalty, repeat 2nd out.
David Andrews doesn't have many called on him, I'll tell you that much. Center with a holding call. Not the biggest dude in the world, but he can really play. And he runs the show up there on the front wall for Georgia.
It's interesting, Mark Rick was saying he's had 2 centers in the last 7 years. Ben Jones was a 4-year starter. David Andrews a 3-year starter. Great leaders.
Mason throws it out to Gurley. Gets back to the 15. Pick up a 5. Gabe Wright sort of threw him down there and actually threw him forward for a couple of yards.
It's a good hustle play by Gabe Wright, because if Gabe Wright doesn't get there, Todd Gurley's probably going to get down there close to the 1st down. Excellent hustle play from an interior lineman, Gabe Wright, reading the screen and chasing it from the inside out.
Nick Chubb back in. 3rd down and 12. 3 receivers to Hudson Mason's left. And Malcolm Mitchell down to the bottom of the screen. Pump fake and the throw to the corner. And bobbled and incomplete. Conley again had his hands on it. Jonathan Jones was there covering.
Jonathan Jones has had an outstanding season. Even though this secondary has given up a lot of yards passing, Jonathan Jones has been pretty consistent. Single coverage again, gets his right hand in there and just fights the ball out from Conley. A little bit of chicken fighting in there as the ball's in the air, but that's excellent work by Jonathan Jones. He found the ball with his eyes and he ripped it out with his right hand.
Marshall Morgan will try to put 3 more on the board from 32 yards away. Kick is up and good. So a half minute remaining in quarter number 2. Georgia Bulldogs at home have extended their lead to 10.
On any stretch of road, at any...
(17-7) Georgia. 17 unanswered points by the Bulldogs. Coming up on Tuesday, College Football Playoff Committee's latest rankings are revealed. You can find out who's in, at least for the time being. College Football Playoff Top 25 Ranking Show presented by Chick-fil-A. Tuesday at 7 on ESPN 2 and Watch ESPN. And as you take a look at the rankings brought to you by Vizio, this is how it looked coming into today. But Mississippi State loses for the first time. Oregon idle. Florida State, Miami is reset in action right now, and Florida State is trailing. TCU had all kinds of struggles today, but beat Kansas. Alabama will move into the top 4, we assume, on Tuesday. And you see the rest, including number 9 Auburn and number 15 Georgia right here.
The interesting thing will be Mississippi State being pretty competitive in that game on the road, and TCU struggling with Kansas. Will Mississippi State drop all the way out of the top 4?
Good point. Marshall Morgan to kick off. Quan Bray is going to camp under this one at about the 8-yard line. And he got out to the 24.
So far in the ball game, the biggest surprise has been the Georgia defense against the running game of Auburn. They've only given up 96 yards rushing. Remember, 2 weeks ago in the loss to Florida, they gave up 418 yards rushing. Florida didn't even have to throw it. They threw it 6 times in the game. 60 rushing attempts. They averaged almost 7 yards per carry. Then last week, in the big win against Kentucky, they gave up 214 yards rushing to the Wildcats. But so far tonight, they've done a pretty good job of corralling this running game of Auburn.
As we mentioned earlier, Auburn with the number 1 rushing club in the SEC. Georgia number 2. Nick Marshall loads and goes long over the top of everybody. Quincy Mauger back there actually was closer to the football than Ricardo Lewis was.
Ricardo Lewis was the guy on the receiving end of that 75-yard miracle play to end the game last year, or to win the game for Auburn on a 4th and 18.
One of the 2 biggest plays of the year, the other being the return against Alabama in the Iron Bowl. Talk about 2 of the huge plays in probably the last decade in college football. Marshall running out of time, comes back. Intended receiver goes up in the air and gets undercut. Ricardo Lewis again, and that was Malcolm Parrish covering.
Boy, and unusual to see Auburn come out and throw the ball on 1st and 2nd down, both incomplete, and come up with a 3rd and 10. Just, again, the success that Georgia's had stopping the run a little bit here in the first half changed the thinking a little bit on this possession for Auburn.
Well, they've only got 9 seconds left to work with. It'll be a swing pass, a screen out to Artis Payne. And Georgia didn't want to give up a touchdown on a play like that. That will bring the first half to a close, a 19-yard pickup. So Georgia, a team that, well, hold on. Matt Austin, our referee, says, wait a minute, maybe we're not done yet.
Please reset the game clock to 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Well,
timeout Auburn. The first time out of the half.
They got a first down, so they got one more shot here.
It'll be a 30-second timeout.
Well, Nick Marshall has a very strong arm. It was interesting. We were talking to Hudson Mason yesterday, and he was telling a story about back when Marshall was on the team. It was the Florida-Georgia game, and kids were warming up. The guys were warming up before the game, and said Nick Marshall just let one go, threw one about 75 yards in the air, and all the coaches and players just sat there and followed the course of the ball.
Going, really? Can this thing go that far? Well, he was a DB then, and now he's in an Auburn uniform, and he does have a cannon. So they'll have one shot here. Georgia's got 2 guys back, 1 inside the 5, 1 at about the 13. So 1 more play here, barring a defensive penalty. Marshall loads and fires. And it's almost caught by Lewis. Broken up, though, and the half will end on that one. He got it to a good spot. Ricardo Lewis is the guy that's actually going to get his hands on it, and then it's knocked out of there. And the half comes to a close. Georgia up 10 as we check in with Holly.
Well, Coach Rick, what stands out to you about having big number 3 Todd Gurley back for your offense?
Well, he's playing well, but so's Nick. I think everybody's blocking good. Defense is playing well. We've had some good special teams plays. Unfortunately, we had a couple penalties that hurt us, but the guys are playing hard right now.
You've had an aggressive mindset, the fake punt that didn't work because of the penalty, but then go for it on 4th and 1. How does that aggressive mindset set a tone?
Well, if you make it, it's good. If you don't, then you're stupid.
It wasn't just a first down, it was a touchdown, so not stupid.
No, it worked out good. When it works, people think it's a good thing to do, but it's a risk, but I believed in our guys. We had a good plan.
Thank you, Coach.
Only Mark Richt could say it that way. Well, the Buick halftime report. Reese and the guys coming up. Georgia at home leading by 10.
The talent of the players and the great coaches is unbelievable, and every week just brings on an unbelievably new challenge.
It's true. You hear any given Saturday, anybody can win, and you hear that in sports, but in our league, it's very true.
Challenge in a league like this against the great coaches that are in this league and the great institutions.
The Deep South's oldest rivalry set for another go-round. Payne follows his blockers beautifully, heads to the sideline and the end zone. Touchdown, Auburn. Mason fires a slant. Got him. Mitchell, touchdown. Maybe they're trying to draw him offside. Nope, it's Chubb. And it's Nick Chubb to the end zone. Touchdown. And we welcome you back to ESPN's College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton Hotels. The SEC on ESPN with Georgia leading Auburn 17-7, a matchup of the West against the East. Georgia needs to win this game and hope that Missouri would lose somewhere down the line. Welcome back to Athens, everybody. Brad Nessler with Todd Blackledge. Partner, these guys haven't been home in 42 days. They look like they've been happy with the home cooking. I think they could be up by 2 more scores had they not had some untimely penalties. But I think if you told Jeremy Pruitt 158 yards offense by Auburn, that'd be pretty good.
Well, you know, he made an interesting comment to us when we met with him yesterday. He said, we got to make them drive the ball through us. We can't give up big plays. They didn't give up big plays in that first half. To beat Auburn, you've got to limit their big plays. They had 0 pass plays over 20 yards, only 2 runs over 10 yards, and that's the formula. If you want to contain this Auburn offense, don't give up the big plays in that first half. Georgia about as good as you could do.
Todd Gurley kind of dancing to the music here before the kickoff. Carlson's got it teed up. Gurley has already taken one coast to coast tonight, but it was negated by a holding penalty. I'm sure he can't wait to get his hands on another one here to open up the third quarter. High short kick. They'll keep it out of his hands this time. And it's fair caught by Quavon Hicks as we check in with Holly.
Well, Todd, there's a reason that Auburn didn't have those big pass plays in the first half, and Gus Malzahn said it's because he was too conservative. He said, I have got to open it up here in the second half. He did not like how conservative he was against this Georgia team in the first half. He said, we've also had some breakdowns on special teams. We've got to get that fixed, but look for him to open it up.
Todd, you said earlier you thought he was going to go pedal to the metal the whole time in this game, and they just haven't done that. We'll see if he's true to his word with Holly. Meanwhile, Georgia starts from its own 28-yard line. Nice play fake, bootleg throw, and complete to Bennett. Lost the ball out of bounds, but taken out after a pickup of 5. Parisi was the guy out there covering in the flat. It'll bring up second down and a short. And now they get the sticks in the right spot at the 33. It will be second down and 5.
Todd Gurley still with that big brace on his elbow.
Here he comes. Broken tackle. Still not down, but they run him out of bounds at the 44.
That was a little trick out of the Auburn playbook. They brought Malcolm Mitchell in motion to fake the reverse. It froze the inside linebackers a little bit, and then Gurley got it to the edge of the defense.
I know he hasn't played in a month, and I know he's got a big brace on his left arm, but you just get that feeling that one of these is going to be a home run.
Well, he's capable every time he touches it.
Toss to him going to the left. He is carrying it with his left hand. And he's got 10 more.
Quavon Hicks, kind of the hybrid guy that swings back between tight end and fullback, out there leading the play on that one. And this again has been the Georgia MO in every game except the Florida game. They wear you down with their run game. And now having Todd Gurley back to go along with Nick Chubb, this game is setting up exactly the way they want.
Davis in motion. Gurley broke one tackle, but not the second, and only got about a yard out of it. Casanova McKenzie, the inside linebacker, he's had a big game tonight and been busy. We mentioned earlier one of our impact players, 6'3", 249-pounder out of Birmingham. Todd Gurley is a carrier too from moving into the number 2 spot in Georgia's all-time rushing lists. Got 4 more on that one. Of course, we know who number 1 is. Should have made it a trivia question. Who's number 2? Pretty simple if you're a Georgia fan. 3rd down and 5. Georgia in Auburn territory on the opening drive here in the 3rd quarter. Gurley is going to lose yardage here. Nice job by the defense of Auburn, led by Devontae Lambert.
Yeah, that was a late check from the sidelines. And Devontae Lambert, just with a quick move inside, beat the right tackle, Colton Houston, with a quick inside move into the backfield.
We haven't seen Colin Barber since he was roughed up when they attempted to block a punt and hit his lower right leg, and he somehow got the punt away. See how he does with Quan Bray waiting back on the other end. Quan's got a couple of punt returns for touchdowns this year. And he won't have a chance here. Fair catch taken diving forward at the 16-yard line as we check in with Reese Davis. Reese.
Brad, Taco Bell studio update. Florida State, they've won 25 in a row. Miami's trying to change that. Brett Kaya, big Clive Walford throws out the anchor, but Clive still gets in from 61 yards out and on ABC. Hurricanes up 23-7.
Well, that would shake things up, wouldn't it? 23-7 Miami with their arch rival Florida State in a hole there. Can Jameis Winston dig their way out? He seems to have a tendency to be able to. Play action, Nick Marshall deep down the middle. Coates had it right between the 1 and the 8 and dropped it.
Well, Gus Malzahn told Holly he was going to be more aggressive in the throw game. First down, play action. Nice dig route by Sammy Coates. Just lost concentration at the end. That ball was well thrown, let it get to his body, and it bounced out, and it's 2nd and 10.
Marshall has been quiet tonight. Georgia's defense is a big part of that. Play fake again, and again deep down the middle. This time in and out of the hands of Ricardo Lewis.
Well, those are two pretty well thrown balls. The first one definitely should have been caught. This was another well thrown ball, low and away from the defender, and Ricardo Lewis just not able to pull it in. Dominic Sanders in coverage from his safety position, but back-to-back plays, it probably should have been caught for Auburn.
But Nick's been perfect on 3rd down tonight. Have to get all of this one. 3rd down and 10. Georgia 4-man rush. Marshall flags all over the place. He's going to run for the first down, but it's coming back. Got it all the way out to the 37, but they'll bring it back with a penalty.
Yeah, I think they got Sean Coleman again.
Holding. Offense 72. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Second time working against Jordan Jenkins. Jenkins very quick off the ball right here. Watch this upfield rush. Sean Coleman just feels himself getting beat and reaches around and tackles him.
That was a mugging. So instead of a first down, it's 3rd down and 20. And it's going to get loud in that end zone for Nick Marshall and company. Artist Payne with Marshall on 3rd down and long. They keep it on the ground. That was conservative, but there's not a lot of 3rd and 20 plays in the book.
Well, there's a lot of football left to be played in this game, but you can't say enough about the Georgia defense so far in creating some negative plays and limiting the big plays of this Auburn explosive offense. That's the difference in the ball game.
Carlson's in an uncomfortable spot in his own end zone to punt. Isaiah McKenzie's back in there as the punt returner. McKenzie's going to have a chance at one from the 48. going down at the 48, and a flag on top of it. Looks like Georgia's maybe going to have an illegal block in the back, and that would take them out of Auburn territory. Matt Austin's our referee. Reggie Davis was the closest man.
During the return, holding 81 receiving team. 10-yard penalty at the end of the run. First down.
And that's who the penalty's on. 3 penalties on the Georgia special teams today that have not helped their cause. Now, that last time Auburn had some chances. Coach let one get away. So did Ricardo Lewis. And they still trail by 10.
Today's still game day.
The best cover 2 team in the country. 1.
Well, Ugga 9 has been sleeping through most of this one, but take you back to 1996. Ugga 5 wasn't asleep. Late in the first quarter of this matchup, Auburn's Robert Baker caught a touchdown. Watch Ugga 5. I will bite you. And that one's remembered by everybody. And most of the Georgia fans I know have a picture of that somewhere in their home. Russ isn't going to get into that tonight at all. Maybe he doesn't like night games. I don't know what his problem is. So Georgia, after the penalty on the punts from the 43-yard line. Nick Chubb out to the 49. Nick Chubb with more yardage tonight than Todd Gurley. And, of course, the numbers he put up in Todd's absence were remarkable, especially for a freshman. He'll get it again. Got a first down and more. And Chubb rumbles his way down inside the 40.
Quavon Hicks is doing a great job. Watch 48 get the kick out block. And Chubb goes right inside of him. Nice block by Colton Houston, the right tackle. And again, this is what Georgia likes to do. Pound on you, wear you down with their run game.
And Chubb again behind David Andrews as center.
You know, you mentioned the numbers that Chubb put up in the absence of Todd Gurley. You got to remember, too, Sony Michel had a broken shoulder from the Tennessee game, so he was out. Keith Marshall has been out for 6 games, so he did that damage and gained those yards pretty much on his own. Brendan Douglas was the only other guy available to run the football during the absence of Todd Gurley.
93 for Chubb so far. And here he comes again. And there he goes again. Chubb inside the 20, dragging Whitehead to the 10. $20 more for Nick Chubb.
Well, again, watch Quavon Hicks, number 48, get a block on the inside linebacker, Chris Frost. Quavon Hicks is doing a wonderful job as a lead blocker for Nick Chubb.
At the 11-yard line, Georgia first down.
Well, I wouldn't change the formula here.
I wouldn't either. There's Chubb's numbers on the night. Over 10 a pop. Cut back. Blasts his way down inside the 7. Jonathan Ford helped out on the stop along with Chris Frost. Chubb comes out, first guy to meet him, Todd Gurley. And the crowd will erupt for both of those. Chubb getting a breather and Gurley coming back in. Georgia can get a first down at the 1-yard line.
Well, how would you like to be a defender and say, okay, he's out, but look who's taking his place.
Yeah.
Good night.
Take out 230 pounds and put in 226. 10 straight running plays for the Bulldogs. Maxey, the fullback. Gurley, the tailback, in the eye from the 6-yard line. Gurley. Down to the 2. Third down and a couple. Third down and 1, actually.
Todd Gurley's dad looking on. After a 4-week absence, hasn't been in the end zone except on that kickoff return to start the game that was negated by penalty. He's got 8 rushing scores on the season. 3rd down and 2. The toss to him. Gurley heading to the end zone, untouched. Touchdown, Georgia.
Offside, 10 defense.
He's been waiting a month to get that feeling. And now he's number 2 behind only Herschel with that run. And his 36th rushing touchdown. Extra point is good. 7:28 remaining in the 3rd quarter. The big dog is back, hungry as ever. Capping a 57-yard drive in 7 plays as he skips in from 3 yards out. 24-7 Georgia.
Look to the ESPN College Football Primetime is brought to you by Dr. Pepper, always one of a kind, and Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy.
Georgia Bulldogs at Sanford Stadium trying to tie up this all-time series that dates back to 1892, and they're off to a good start here in the 3rd quarter, 24-7 after that touchdown run by Gurley. Marshall Morgan's got it teed up. Corey Grant and Ricardo Lewis are back deep, and it'll be Lewis from the 5. Ricardo Lewis runs into traffic at the 30 and goes down there as DirecTV takes you inside the drive as we look at that last touchdown.
Well, it's smash mouth football for the Georgia offense. You're going to see some great blocks. Quavon Hicks is going to get a great block. The tight end, Blazevich. The tackle, Colton Houston's going to pull out, and the other fullback, Maxey. Watch all 4 of these guys stick onto their blocks, and Todd Gurley's able to just kind of walk into the end zone. They wore down the Auburn defense on that drive just by pounding the football play after play, and now Auburn in a little bit more desperate situation.
Yeah, they're going to have to definitely do what Gus told Holly, and that's try to fire on all cylinders every time they have it, because they're down 3 scores, and Nick Marshall starts it off well with a 1st down run. And he's saying go, go, go. First down at the 42. Marshall again will run it. And again, good positive gain. Out for 5 more. Jordan Jenkins made the tackle, and this is Auburn the way they like to play. But in this case, it's the way they have to play now with 6:45 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Artis Payne cuts it outside. He's got a 1st down, and he's taken Damian Swan for a ride down to the 45-yard line.
Now, they can't abandon the run game because it's so much a part of who they are and sets up what they want to do throwing the football. They're not an offense built to just drop back and throw it 40 times a game. So even though they're down 17, they can't abandon their run game.
Inside run this time, not much for Artis Payne. Meek Wilson's the first guy there, and Leonard Floyd joined the group.
Prior to tonight, I think even though Auburn lost to Mississippi State and they lost a week ago to Texas A&M, it wasn't because those defenses shut them down. It was turnovers that were the story of those games. The best defensive played against them this year was early in the year in Manhattan, Kansas by Kansas State, and they limited the big plays in that game the same way Georgia's doing tonight.
2nd down and 8. Marshall goes deep on the sideline, incomplete, intended for Marcus Davis. Dominic Sanders was back in coverage.
One of the guys, Jeremy Pruitt, doesn't brag up many people. He usually downplays his defensive players. He said about number 24, the freshman, I like the way that kid plays.
Yeah. Got a bright future ahead of him. He's made some plays tonight.
Nick Marshall's only hit one of his last 7. See if he's going to put it up here on 3rd down and 8. He's going to run for it, but he won't get anywhere near. Only about a yard gain. Leonard Floyd is there.
That's good discipline on the pass rush. They brought Damian Swan as a safety blitz on the outside, and that forced Nick Marshall up in the pocket a little bit, but good discipline by the inside rushers. And now on 4th down, Gus Malzahn feeling like he has to go for it here.
Crowd is going crazy. So is the Georgia sideline. 4th down and 8. They fake the end around. Marshall running out of time. Incomplete. The Dogs take over on downs.
Boy, they had Uzomah covered, double covered. Both linebackers had him bracketed on that crossing route, anticipating that's where Nick Marshall was going to try to go for with the football.
And a defensive coordinator is fired up as the crowd at Sanford Stadium.
Monday night.
McDonald's All-Americans there. Something like that. Brad Nessler, Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowan, our ESPN crew in Athens, where Georgia leads 24-7 with just under 5 minutes to go in the 3rd.
Man, I think it's very important that Georgia stays aggressive offensively.
Todd Gurley trying to get to the edge, won't. Only got about a yard.
Even though they have control of the football game and their defense has played outstanding, all they have to do is remember last year the shoe was on the other foot, and they scored 21 points in the 4th quarter to get back into that football game. So they know this Auburn offense can explode at any time. I think they need to stay very aggressive in their mindset and in their play calling here offensively with a 17-point lead.
Jonathan Rumpin at a wide receiver spot had a good game against Kentucky last week. It's Gurley, and he's hit low by Anthony Swain before he ever really got started. A 3rd down and 8 here. Bennett and Conley both trot out here to the right side. Auburn showed a little pressure and now back out of it.
Well,
after 14 straight runs, I'm assuming we're going to get a pass here. Mason lofts it long on the sideline, almost picked off on a flag. Therizi was the guy that was on Michael Bennett.
Well, he had his hand on his back as he was breaking out of that route. You know, Therizi is more of a hybrid linebacker safety type.
Defense to the 27. 15-yard penalty for the previous spot. Automatic 1st down.
That's a hard coverage assignment against an inside slot receiver. You see the hand on the back, a little grab. Wasn't a lot, but it was enough contact on the back of the jersey to draw the flag.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yep.
1st down for Georgia at the 40 of Auburn. Quavon Hicks again, the front man for Todd Gurley in the Georgia I. Whistles and flags. Quavon might have been the guy that came out of his stance. Let's see.
Prior to the snap, false start, 82 offense, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
They call it on Bennett. So that makes it 1st and 15 back at the 45.
Good time for a screen here, 1st and 15.
Todd Gurley Just a couple. They've been dialed into him for the most part tonight.
Yeah, it looks like this Auburn defense inspired not to allow Todd Gurley to get a big breakaway run. They haven't had nearly as much success against Nick Chubb, but they have been locked into Todd Gurley.
And Todd's had to work for his 84 yards. 23 carries already. Nick Chubb well over 100 though. Second and 13, Gurley again. This time he breaks one tackle, goes for 5. Makes the third down a little more manageable.
I go back to, and Holly talked to Mark Richt about it at halftime. I go back to his decision to go for it on 4th and 1. I think the message he sent to his offensive line and to his offense that, hey, we can control the game with the way we run the football. I just think ever since that point, the Georgia offense and the running game has controlled things.
Here's a middle screen to Chubb. Nick Chubb, first down, 25, maybe gone. Whoa, collision at the 10. Get a license plate number. Touchdown.
No way. Well, did he step out of bounds after he ran into Jonathan Mincy? That's the question.
Might have.
Yep, right there. What a play, though.
It's going to be a Georgia first down for sure, but probably not a touchdown.
Again, the Georgia screen game, I think, is as good as anyone in college football. Their linemen do a great job with the timing.
And not only that, they had Gurley in the same backfield. He split out one way, and then he just dumped it to Chubb, but it looks like he stepped out right there. Whether it was a touchdown or not, that was pretty good right there.
It was fun to watch, regardless.
Oh, man. Jonathan Mincy is still trying to get the tears out of his eyes.
Well, you've got an offensive line that has been the same 5 the whole year, and you've got 2 heavy runners in Todd Gurley and Nick Chubb. And it's a colder night, and as a game wears on like this,
you get a little tired of tackling those guys.
You just don't like tackling those guys.
After review, ball carrier stepped out of bounds at the 11-yard line. Be 1st and 10 from the 11. Please set the game clock to 2:31.
Well, it's a 27-yard gain to the 11 instead of a 38-yard touchdown.
Nick Chubb, 166 total yards from scrimmage, 118 rushing, 48 receiving. Todd Gurley's back, and Nick Chubb is still kind of saying, hey, wait a minute, I got something to add to this offense too. Love to have you back, Todd, but
he's back in there right now with a first down at the 11-yard line. 2:15 remaining in the third quarter. Auburn brings some pressure. Chubb can't get away. Dropped at the line of scrimmage. Ben Bradley holding on for dear life.
Yeah, you got to get him before he gets going. Again, he's not as tall as Todd Gurley, so he's a little bit harder to get a clean shot on because he runs with lower pad level just naturally than Todd Gurley does. They're both thick, they're both heavy, and hard to tackle, but Nick Chubb with a little bit of a lower center of gravity.
Hudson Mason, who waited his turn behind Aaron Murray all those years, his final season with the pitch to Chubb. And again, Auburn does a really nice job to stretch it out and dump him after a gain of maybe a yard.
Yeah, Auburn's got to be thinking, if you're Ellis Johnson, their defensive coordinator, they got to be thinking, we got to keep him out of the end zone here. We have to hold him to a field goal. Keep it a 20-point game. Our offense, we know if they get on track, if they get rolling, they can score quickly.
Four wide receivers set here. Actually, Jerome, the tight end, is the slot man on the right. 3rd down and 10. Georgia can get a first down at the 1. They're going to empty the backfield. Mason throws incomplete. Intended for Malcolm Mitchell.
Not sure what Hudson was looking for there. Even if it's completion, it's short of the first down. It's short of the end zone.
So the field goal unit will come on. Marshall Morgan, who hit one earlier from 32. This will be a 28-yard attempt.
A very important stop right there by the Auburn defense on 3rd down.
With a minute to go in the 3rd quarter, Georgia tacks on 3 more. Well, they didn't get a touchdown, but we got to let you see this one more time. Nick Chubb. Hello, Jonathan Minson. That led to the field goal. 27-7.
Bush comes over with the interception. Florida State's 25-game winning streak in jeopardy. They're down 13 at the half.
All right, race here. It's Georgia from the SEC East leading Auburn from the West 27-7 with just under a minute to go in the 3rd quarter. Since the opening touchdown drive by Auburn, which was pretty impressive, they've only run 3 plays in Georgia territory. The deepest penetration was the Dogs' 43. That's how good Georgia's defense has been since that opening Auburn march. High kick and shorter. Corey Grant has to run up on it at the 10-yard line. And Grant, he got planted at the 25 by Tim Kimbrough on the special teams.
Well, the Georgia defense has done an outstanding job of stopping this running game of Auburn. Again, Auburn coming in, the leading rushing team in the SEC, 286 yards per game. But Georgia has done a great job of swarming to the football. They've maintained leverage. They haven't gotten beat on the perimeter. And their linebackers, which is the strength of their team, has been very active in getting to the run game. This team ran for 363 last week against A&M, struggling tonight to get their running game going.
Ricardo Lewis on a sweep. Brought down after about a 3-yard gain by Quincy Mauger again.
Again, that's good leverage, and leverage means you don't allow them to get outside of you. The only perimeter run that they had success on was the 26-yard touchdown run by Cameron Artis-Payne in that opening drive. Other than that, Georgia has done a nice job of maintaining leverage on this Auburn run game.
Final seconds of the 3rd quarter. Corey Grant joins Marshall. He play fakes it there and throws it right back to him. And good pickup on that one of 15 for a first down to bring probably the 3rd quarter to a close. Got to move the sticks here, and Auburn goes so fast they might get one more play in. Nope, not going to happen. 3 quarters in the books between the hedges. Georgia knows they've got to win this and hope that Missouri trips along the way, and they'd be going to Atlanta for the SEC title game. They're that close. The SEC on ESPN. Good one for Georgia so far in this game on their home field for the first time in a long time and leading Auburn. Russ is finally awake. You know, take a look at the Aflac trivia question. When Georgia played its first game against Auburn in 1892, what was the official mascot at that time? I wouldn't be asking you if it was Uga or a Bulldog. Tigers open the 4th at their own 44-yard line. Look a little bit confused on their alignment. Now they're set. Artis-Payne weaves his way for 3. Tim Kimbrough in on the tackle. In the 3rd quarter, Auburn only had 45 yards, and Georgia had the football almost twice as long.
Yeah. But so far this season, in the fourth quarter, Auburn has outscored their opponents by 59 points.
Marshall down the middle. That's a strike. And it's Sammy Coates. And finally, they got a long ball down the middle. Correct my math there. More than twice as much they had in the third quarter time of possession-wise. Auburn usually doesn't have to worry about time of possession, as their scoring drives normally don't take that long. And they might have one coming up here. Flag down, though, back at the line of scrimmage. Artis Payne takes it all the way down inside the 10. Would have been a 28-yard gain.
Holding, offense 62. 10-yard penalty for spot on the foul. First down.
Chad Slade, the right guard, the guilty party.
Yeah, kind of right in the middle of the action. Here's Chad Slade, number 62, holding on Thornton. Number 96, or actually on Ramik Wilson, the linebacker. Boy, and that would have been one of those big plays, an explosive play. Auburn just has not been able to generate those tonight. Very many of them against this Georgia defense.
They've done a nice job in fourth quarters this year. They're going to need another fourth quarter comeback to even be in this one. Marshall running out of time, and at the last he has to just tuck it and get what he can. Not much of a gain. Jordan Jenkins made the stop.
Jordan Jenkins has had an outstanding game tonight. He's drawn a couple holding penalties. He's put pressure on the quarterback pretty consistently. Again, the strength of this Georgia defense is their group of linebackers. Jenkins and Floyd and Wilson and Herrera.
Second down, 16. They fake it to Grant. And Marshall deep in the middle again. Got it complete. Uzama, the tight end slash wide out, a pickup of 18.
Good timing by Nick Marshall on that dig route. Threw it right as he came out of his break into an opening.
Corey Grant, and Grant popped out the backside of a pileup and got 9 yards. And Auburn's down in the red zone. And first down, needed one, and he got a couple. And Artis Payne will come in, and Grant will go out. Georgia changes up some personnel as well, or tries to.
Well, they're allowed once Auburn subbed, then the referees have to give Georgia time to sub if they want. If Auburn doesn't substitute, then Georgia just has to play with the guys on the field, tired or not.
Ramik Wilson, one of those top linebackers Todd was talking about, on the sideline here on a first down. Artis Payne dropped for a loss. And it's Jordan Jenkins, who Todd just talked about having a big night.
When he came inside, there were two guys on the edge there. Jenkins took the inside course. Watch number 59 slip right inside Brandon Fultz, number 11. Quickly to the football, and again, negative play on first down. You've got to get those if you want to try to slow down this Auburn offense.
Second down and 13 for Auburn at the Georgia 15. Marshall fires near side, incomplete. You might have seen somebody waving their hands down there. That was Jeremy Pruitt, the defensive coordinator, trying to get his defense's attention.
Third down and 12 yards here, but you're in the red zone, which means you don't have to guard depth. This is a tough place to convert if you're an offense, because you can only stretch the field so far vertically, and you're out of the end zone.
This is probably two-down territory no matter what happens. Marshall fires, goal line broken up. Intended for Coates, and it was Sanders again there defensively.
Ball a little bit behind him, but it was a quick break on the ball by Sanders. Even if the ball is thrown in the right place in front of the receiver, Sanders maybe is there for the collision. Good timing by Dominic Sanders at the point of the ball.
Gus Malzahn knows it's now or never. 4th down and 12. Can Georgia make another stop? Marshall flushed out of the pocket, throws back across his body, and it's intercepted by Herrera.
Herrera is one of the defenders on this Georgia defense that has remained friends with Nick Marshall. He comes back to haunt his buddy here with an interception by the goal line.
Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry, presents a commercial for women only. This is Levion Chocolate Diamond Jewelry. Levion, masters of jewelry.
Aggies have the lead on Missouri.
All right, Reese, if that would hold up and Georgia's lead here would hold up, the Dogs would win the SEC East and go to Atlanta for the SEC championship game. After that interception by Herrera, they started their own 2-yard line. Todd Gurley dives forward to the 5. And the standings, with Mississippi State having lost today to Alabama, look like this. Auburn would need a lot of help. First of all, they have to win this game and then beat Alabama and hope for a 3- or 4-way tie. And we've explained what is happening right now between Reese telling you what Missouri's doing and what we're telling you here in Athens. It would be a party night at the University of Georgia tonight if both those scores held up.
Well, that interception by Nick Marshall, I mean, really the formula for disaster for Auburn this year in their losses has been turnover.
Yep.
And it's kind of following the same script tonight.
Georgia, one of the best in the country at turnover margin at +13, which is 4th best in the land. And then, as Todd just said, Auburn, when they don't turn the ball over, they win. When they turn the ball over, they don't. And there's what we're talking about. So Georgia 3rd down. I don't expect them to be real fancy here.
Well, right now Georgia wants to take care of the football, eat clock, and let their defense, you know, continue to do its thing.
On 3rd down and 3, let's see if number 3 gets it. And he's got a big gainer. Todd Gurley all the way out to the 40.
Well, this is what happens in the 4th quarter when you're facing guys like Todd Gurley and Nick Chubb. Jonathan Jones, number 3, I want you to watch what happens to him. He's going to be singled out here with Gurley. Does he want to try to tackle that guy? Not so much. Maybe in the 1st quarter, not in the 4th.
Not in the 4th. 31 yards for Gurley. He just keeps getting better by quarters, and as Todd said, you get a little tired of tackling him. 10.6 a carry in the 4th quarter, including 3 touchdowns. He gets a breather here, and Nick Chubb comes in for him. Mason, play action. Quavon Hicks wide open. And give the fullback tight end a little sugar.
Yeah, that's throwing the dog a bone because he's been blocking big time.
Let's check in with Holly.
Well, Todd Gurley getting better in the 4th quarter. After he sat out games last year injured, when he came back, he wasn't in shape. So they did things differently. Joe Tereshinski, the strength and conditioning coach here, every time he wasn't getting a rep in practice during his suspension this year, he would take him in and have him drive leg sleds. He said we would make him drive extra weights with his legs until he was fatigued. He had to run up and down the stadium stairs at the track and field stadium. And when he was getting carries in practice, he had to run 25, 30 extra yards. He's in better shape coming back this time.
38 yards so far in this quarter. And Nick Chubb, that's a bad face mask.
Yeah.
And it'll be a 1st down. I don't know if Adams got his hand in there and then just couldn't get it out or not, but that's one of those obvious face masks.
Personal foul, face mask, 1 of the defense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic 1st down.
You see Montrevious Adams, number 1, come in there, and whoa. And that'll move the ball all the way down inside the 35-yard line. Just shaded inside the 35. And we're down to 8.5 minutes. And again, even in the huddle, Georgia taking its time.
Yeah.
Chubb stays in at the tailback spot. behind Taylor Maxey, who's done a nice job leading the way tonight from that fullback position. Same scenario here. And Chubb only got about a yard. Holly asked Mark Richt yesterday, said, what do you remember about Chubb when he was in high school? You know, he's from Cedartown, and it's not the biggest classification. He said, I went to visit him one day and didn't even see him, but I talked to his coach. I talked to his coach. I talked to the principal. I talked to all his teachers. I talked to half the kids in the school. Everybody loves this guy.
Yeah.
And he says he stayed that humble. He doesn't say much. He talks to you when spoken to, but he's just one of those kids. And he's had a remarkable freshman season. I mean, you take away a couple of the other guys in the SEC, and he'd be an all-SEC team performer, I would think. They toss it to him. Broke one tackle. And he made something out of nothing again. Picked up 3.
Well, they were so excited about the 2 freshman backs that they signed this year. He being a local product, a Georgia kid, and Sony Michel, who's from Plantation, Florida, who we've not seen tonight, but who came back last week and gave him a spark. And he's kind of a different guy. They can put him in different spots and put him as a wide out. And when they get him back healthy, along with Chubb and Gurley, this is a team that is very dangerous offensively, particularly when it comes to running the football.
Sony Michel is one of those home run hitter type guys. He's got that kind of speed. They started this drive at their own 2-yard line with that interception. They've worked it inside the Auburn 30. Chubb again going wide. Still on his feet. First down.
Well, this is a defense that is a little bit fatigued now. And they're tired of tackling Todd Gurley and Nick Chubb. You're seeing guys bounce off of these backs. There's contact, but no wrap-up. That's Josh Holsey, number 15, just can't get Nick Chubb down. And again, when you keep rotating them and they're fresh, it gets harder and harder to tackle them the longer the game goes on.
And you saw Todd Gurley take the field and circle in his finger as if say, Nick, I got you. Come on out, get a breather. I'll take over. First down at the 22. Run blitz. Gurley drives his way for a couple. His linemen keep on pushing. All right. That works it down inside the 17. Right here you end up with the Georgia rugby team matched up with the Auburn rugby team. I don't know if they ever did get him down. Oh, yeah, he finally landed. Second down and a long 5. Actually a long 4, a short 5. Georgia's rushing by half. Pretty impressive. This drive has taken 6 minutes. Todd Gurley, first down.
Well, the Georgia rushing game has been impressive. Now up to 273 yards on the game. And the Georgia run defense has been impressive as Auburn has been held to 142 yards.
Oh, Gurley shaking up on the play. And that will put a hush over this crowd in a hurry. As his dad's looking on, and remember his arm was injured earlier in the game. We'll take a break here and check on Todd Gurley when we come back.
Hampton knows it's your most important.
With Cobalt, exclusively at Lowe's.
Todd Gurley 1 carry shy of his career high in rushing. He won't be rushing anymore tonight. They've got him over there on the sideline. Another look. Watch his left leg when he plants to cut back. And I don't think he ever lands on that foot again. And close-up shot of him. You see him wince right there and actually grabs his leg as he's going to the turf. And boy, nothing can wreck a 92,000 person party like that.
Yeah.
And hopefully just a bruise or a sprain. We don't know, but they were working on his left knee. Meanwhile, Nick Chubb has come in to take over with Georgia a first down at the 11-yard line.
Well, this drive so far, 9 runs, only 1 short pass. Here's the 10th run.
Chubb. Nick Chubb gets away from everybody to the end zone. Touchdown. What a night for that kid. Marshall Morgan in for the point after. They started their drive at their own 2-yard line following the interception. Nick Chubb caps off a 98-yard march in 11 plays with his 2nd touchdown. This one from 11 yards out, and Auburn just can't get number 27 on the ground. All dogs right now.
The home court of college hoops.
One driver will win his first Sprint Cup championship.
ESPN College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. Feel the Hamptonality. And in part by Lexus, introducing the first ever 306 horsepower RC Coupe from Lexus.
A little earlier, we asked you the Aflac trivia question when Georgia and Auburn got together for the first time back in 1892. It wasn't a Bulldog. What was their mascot unofficially? A goat. You know, can you imagine the cheers here where they go, whoop, 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 and instead they'd be going,
Hunker down, you hairy goat.
let's check in with Reese Davis.
I hate to interrupt comedy night with SportsCenter right now, presented by Dell on the SEC Network. Missouri and Texas A&M tied at 20 until Russell Hansbrough ran for his 2nd straight touchdown of longer than 40 yards. He's got 170 yards on the night. Tigers, dogs need them to lose, but they're beating the Aggies right now in the 3rd quarter by 7.
All right, Reese, thanks. 4:51 remaining here. There's the man of the night, Nick Chubb. Auburn has never failed to score at least 20 points in a game under Gus Malzahn, and they might not get another chance. Leonard Floyd smothers backup quarterback Jeremy Johnson.
Well, this is, we said this during one of the commercial breaks between ourselves. I'm not sure we've seen the Georgia defense play this well in the last couple of years.
Yeah, maybe with the exception of the shutout of Missouri, but that was a million turnovers. This is just playing solid football. That's the first sack of the game.
Well, they've pressured, though. They've drawn penalties, and they've stuffed the run, and they've not given up very many big plays. You can count them on one hand, the explosive plays that Auburn's had in the ball game tonight.
Johnson throws, broken up, intended for Uzama.
You know, and certainly part of the problem for Auburn was not having Duke Williams, their leading receiver, who is, has made a bunch of big plays for Nick Marshall this year. But I think more credit goes to the Georgia defense. And Jeremy Pruitt's plan, his desire, as he told us, we want to make them drive the ball through us and not give up big, cheap plays, and they didn't do that.
Johnson down the middle, complete. That's going to be one of their bigger gains of the night. Melvin Ray on the receiving end of that one. Jeremy Pruitt's not the only new guy on that defensive side of the ball. The entire Georgia defensive coaching staff is new, and that's the first time that happened since 1964. And the only reason it happened then is because Vince was coming in as head coach, Vince Dooley, and brought a whole new group with him.
Now, one of those new defensive coaches is a guy who was a former great player for the Auburn Tigers. Tracy Rocker right there was coaching with the Tennessee Titans last year.
He wasn't just a good player. He was a great player at Auburn, won the Outland and the Lombardi Trophy as the nation's best defensive lineman. A little over 3 minutes remaining. Little swing pass out to Rock Thomas. And Thomas is going to get to the first down. I think Lorenzo Carter holding on to him, but looked like he got it. Don't forget, get your NFL Sunday started tomorrow with NFL Countdown presented by Snickers. Boomer and the gang with all the latest news and updates from around the NFL right up until your kickoff. NFL Countdown also available on Watch ESPN. Clock running down to 2:45 before the snap. Johnson, quick slant, thrown a little bit behind Uzama, but he still made a nice adjustment and the catch and picked up 9.
Jeremy Johnson, certainly the quarterback of the future for Auburn, a different looking quarterback than Nick Marshall. 6'5", 230-pounder, big time arm.
More on the Cam Newton size. And taking himself out of the play was Rock Thomas, who slipped. Reggie Carter made sure he slipped. This is going to be interesting. Georgia came in ranked 15th. And Tuesday night we'll find out the new rankings. This is pretty impressive. There's another fumble. Georgia's going to cover it. That'll be the 3rd turnover of the night suffered by Auburn. This crowd is happy to have their Bulldogs back, and why not? They're putting a hurting on the Auburn Tigers and getting set to even this all-time series, each with 55 wins.
You do something to me.
The SEC on ESPN and a happy crowd between the hedges tonight as we welcome you back to College Football Primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. 34-7. Georgia on their way to a resounding win as we take a look at our good hands play brought to you by Allstate. And this was Marshall on the 2nd of 3 turnovers tonight. His interception to good friend of his when he was a Georgia Bulldog, Herrera, the linebacker. And Georgia turned 2 turnovers into 14 points tonight, including capping off a 98-yard march after Herrera's interception.
Well, Hudson Mason's night is done. Didn't have to do a whole lot other than turn around and hand it to 3 and 27.
Yep.
But Bryce Ramsey now in the ball game, backup quarterback.
He's got a good arm. Ramsey, redshirt freshman. As we check in with Holly.
Todd Gurley underwent some testing on that ligament in his left leg. He's complaining of some pain and discomfort on the outside of that knee. They did tell him something, but as teammates have come up and asked him about it, he's shaking his head as if he does not know the complete diagnosis. He's up walking around, although he's got ice on his knee. A lot of people are giving him hugs. They've said some prayers over him, but he's been smiling and in good spirits, guys. It does look optimistic right now, but of course they will evaluate it further tomorrow.
He's not limping as much now either, Holly, as he heads down the tunnel and into the locker room with this one in hand. And Georgia able to play Brendan Douglas, who deserves some carries because, whoops, he dropped that one though. He's filled in as basically the number 2 tailback when Sony Michel was out and Gurley was out and Marshall's been out. And the sophomore out of Augusta getting some playing time here, and the backup quarterback in, and we're under a minute. Hudson Mason has gone 123 pass attempts now, going back to October 4th against Vanderbilt without an interception. And you can bet his buddy and the late Philip Lutzenkirchen is looking down from a good spot, happy for his buddy for his performance for Georgia tonight in what will be their 8th win of the season. Douglas, nice job bouncing off, picking up positive yardage, and that should just about do it. Well, Georgia goes to 6-2. Their hopes for a trip to Atlanta for the SEC title game very much alive. They just need some help somewhere along the line. Tonight, their help came in the form of the return of Todd Gurley, a great defensive performance, and then Nick Chubb. Pretty resounding victory for the Dogs. Auburn had a 70-yard touchdown drive on the first possession and held scoreless the last 55 minutes as we go down to Holly.
Well, Coach, everyone was so excited about Todd Gurley coming back, but the 1-2 punch of him and Nick Chubb were devastating. What did you see from those guys tonight?
Well, they're just big physical backs. We've been blocking well, giving them some space to get started, and once they start going downhill a little bit, it's hard to take them down.
This Auburn offense is so hard for everybody to stop. What was it about your defense tonight that gave them such a terrific performance?
You know what? They just played hard. They did what the coaches asked them to do. I'm sure Jeremy's familiarity with them, playing them last year, helped to a certain degree, but the guys had to execute. They did a great job, and I'm just thankful and praise God.
It's your final SEC game. What does this say about your senior quarterback, Hudson Mason, who stuck around, didn't transfer, that there's still a chance he could lead his team to Atlanta?
Well, he did a good job. I'll tell you what, if we'd have caught the ball earlier, he was really hot, and I think we'd have done even better in the passing game. But Hudson came back or stayed to try to win a championship, and hopefully we'll get that chance.
Missouri's down right now, but we'll keep you posted, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, their SEC season, as Holly said, is over. They've got Charleston Southern, the SEC Network, and then Georgia Tech in Atlanta, which will be a dandy when those two get together as well. 34-7, the final from Athens. Georgia goes to 8-2, 6-2 in the SEC. For Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe, our entire ESPN crew, Brad Nessler, Between the Hedges. Good night.
Brad, you're saying good night. We've still got
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Inside Georgia Football with head coach Mark Richt. I'm Chuck Dowdle. What a huge game again for the Georgia Bulldogs as the Auburn Tigers coming into Sanford Stadium. Dogs have been away for 42 days. Now in comes Auburn, and for Georgia, it seems to always come down to Auburn as to what their future plans will be as far as SEC championship, and that is the case once again. Dogs need to win. Dogs need to hope for a little help in the form of a Missouri loss. We're going to get you ready for this one. You're going to hear from David Andrews, Boss Andrews. He's the man that makes that offensive line go. He's the man that helps keep Hudson Mason standing upright and helps clear those big holes for those running backs. You'll hear from him, as well as Mike Thornton on the defense, and Damian Swan in that secondary offers that great senior leadership to those guys back there on the back end, and they've got to defend against Nick Marshall, both on the pass and the run. All of that straight ahead, as well as our own Ashley Rosenberg. She's going to sit down with one of the running backs that you just love to cheer for because he's so hard to bring down, Brendan Douglas. That's all straight ahead on Inside Georgia Football with head coach Mark Richt.
Inside Georgia Football with head coach Mark Richt is presented by Georgia's own credit union. It's your future, own it. Also brought to you by AT&T, building you a better network.
There are certain times in life when things get crazy.
This segment of Inside Georgia Football is brought to you by AT&T, building you a better network.
As they curl over the ball, Georgia students and fans standing and roaring. 23, 22, 21. Clock running. Oh, look at the sugar falling out of the sky. Look at the sugar falling out of the sky.
To David Green. There he goes in the corner again, and we jump up. Touchdown! Oh, God, a touchdown! In the corner with seconds. Michael Johnson turned around and got up in the air. We caught the ball. It's 23-21 with 85 seconds.
Probably the most memorable Auburn moment for me would be 2002, Michael Johnson, his touchdown catch to win the game. That was when I was understanding football the most, or not the most, but starting to really understand it as a kid. My mom was a big Auburn fan, and she went to Auburn, so that to be able to kind of rub that in her face, you know, as a little kid was fun, and that was probably my most memorable Auburn moment.
I guess we've been playing 117 times. This is the 118th time we've played, and they've got us by one game. And even the point differential is less than 1 point per game after 118 years. It's been that close. And so, you know, we're looking forward to, again, being home for the first time in 42 days. We're looking forward to our fan base welcoming our players and supporting us, and we're looking forward to playing some exciting football to get those guys, get our fans excited too.
Oh, I'm excited. You know, I think this place is going to be electric this weekend. You know, we're going to have a ton of people here. You know, it's going to be up under the lights. You know, in between the hedges. You know, that's one of the games that you dream about. You know, that's one of the games that you always you wish you could play in. You know, and I've been fortunate enough to be one of the guys that's actually going to play in this game. You know, so I'm very excited. You know, I'm ready for Saturday to get here.
I guess the biggest emotion would be like anxious. You're ready for it. You know, it's been a long time on the road, and you know, being your last year, you kind of starting to realize these moments are coming to an end, and you don't get moments like this, you know, pretty much anymore. And you know, just the chance to go back home and play in front of these fans is, you know, it's what I'm looking forward to.
I think we have the best fan base in the nation, honestly, and every game, no matter if it's a 12 o'clock game or 3 o'clock game or a night game, they always bring their A game, and we hope to do the same thing, and we're going to give them energy, they're going to give us energy. We're going to make plays with our fans. We're going to do everything we can to keep them excited throughout this whole game.
We gotta go out and take care of business. You know, I mean, ain't no way around it. You know, in order for us to keep our hopes alive, to get back to Atlanta, we have to win. You know, so we know that. You know, so for us, we're gonna go out. We're gonna practice every week. Practice every day this week. We're gonna try to get better every day this week, and we're gonna come out and try to execute our game plan.
This game is definitely a big game for both teams, I believe. It could definitely help us out in the run for the SEC East, and it could definitely help them out for the run for the SEC West. And that's what it's all about for us, is just to come out and play this big game, and because of the next game, we have to play together as a team.
This game's huge for both teams. You know, both teams are still kind of in it right now, and you know, the SEC is a messed-up league right now. Everyone's beating everyone, and it seems like every team's gonna have 1 or 2 losses at the end. So, you know, it's a huge game, and not only that, it's, you know, it's the oldest rivalry in the South. You know, this is what you dream of as a kid. You know, playing in the backyard. You know, it's what you always wanted, and you know, it's right here.
Coming up next, a little dog sitting. At least we'll sit down with a dog. Ashley Rosenberg sits down with Brendan Douglas.
So right now, if you get the...
All is brought to you by Georgia Lottery.
Toss to Brendan Douglas, near side with Hicks blocking. Douglas has some running room. Douglas 10, 5, he leads, flipped into the end zone, touchdown! Give him 10 on the flip and give him 6 for the score.
Brendan, when was the very first time you put on a helmet?
Very first time I put on a helmet. I was probably really young, because all my brothers played football. So, you know, I'm one of 9 kids actually, and 6 boys and 3 girls. So I got 3 older brothers. So, you know, when I was a little kid, you know, I'm sure they brought their shoulder pads and helmet home, and, you know, I'm sure I put them on a couple times and went out in the backyard and, you know, played around with them, and that was probably the first time that I put on a helmet. So,
being one of 9 kids, how crazy was the house at all times?
It was pretty crazy. You know, it never got boring for sure, and there was always something going on. You know, we were all into sports, and my dad coached for a little while, and you know, kept having too many kids, so he realized he had to get a better job and make more money. But you know, it was you know, like I said, we were a sports kind of family, I guess, and you know, everybody played sports, including the girls, and you know, just, you know, from the first one, my brother actually played at Auburn a couple years and Georgia Southern too, and so you know, we were just a kind of athletic family, I guess.
Going to Georgia, playing for Georgia, how is that family rivalry if you went to Southern?
It's pretty strong. I mean, you know, my dad actually went to Georgia Southern too, so I'm the first one of the family to go to Georgia. So it was something different. You know, like I said, he played at Auburn too. So, and actually Georgia beat Auburn every year he was there. He was there for 3 years and played at Southern for 2, but every year Georgia-Auburn played, Georgia beat them, and you know, we heard all about it being from Georgia.
What other sports did you play before coming to college other than football?
I played baseball all 4 years of high school. I played center field. You know, I loved baseball. That was probably my first love, to be honest with you. You know, I think I was probably better at it at first, but you know, I fell in love with football.
Now, you first committed to Georgia Tech, and then you made the transition to Georgia. Why did you make the change?
You know, I came and visited Georgia before they offered me, and you know, I really just kind of fell in love with it, and you know, the coaching staff too was a big reason why I decided to come here, and you know, the team as a whole, the guys, I got along with them better when I came on visits here, and you know, just kind of fell in love with the place.
Now, going into the Missouri game, you had a lot riding on you. You knew that the ball was going to be passed to you, handed off to you a lot. Going into the end zone when you made that flip, what was going through your mind?
It was crazy. You know, I was just kind of instinct at first. You know, I was going to try to just kind of hop over him. I really didn't think I was going to end up flipping, but you know, I tried to jump, and you know, he ended up hitting me kind of in the knees, and so I started flipping. And in my mind, all I was thinking was, you know, this might turn out bad, but I'm just going to hold on to the ball as hard as I can.
Do you think you could have landed it?
I don't know. That would have been something, but I don't know. A bunch of gymnasts, I'm friends with some gymnasts. They've been picking on me. They're kind of like, I got to teach you how to land that.
Did they give you a rating, 1 through 10?
I saw some ratings thrown out there, a couple of 8s or 9s, but they said it would have been a 10 if I landed it.
Looking at the team when you came in as a freshman, who was that one person you kind of looked up to as a big brother?
David Andrews is a guy who comes to mind, you know, just a guy that comes to work every day and, you know, always has a good attitude and, you know, just a good guy in general, you know, on and off the field, you know. He'll put your arm around you and, you know, see how you're doing and, you know, just a good guy.
What are you looking to leave here with your name as a Georgia football player?
You know, just a guy that comes to work every day, you know, and, you know, doesn't complain too much and just, you know, comes to work and, you know, gives it his all every day.
It's a dog and cat fight. That's next as highlights of Georgia and Auburn.
There's a segment of Inside Georgia Football is brought to you by Georgia's Own Credit Union. It's your future. Own it.
freshman, runs right with a block. Chubb gets to the corner. Chubb to the 30, spun around at the 32-yard line. Mason going to throw it down the line of scrimmage, caught by Conley. Conley 35-40, near sideline 45, pushes his way across the 50, still upright, and Bennett comes in to try to throw a block there late. They run a man in motion. Marshall hands it off. Same guy, number 44. This time he tries to bounce out to the near side, and we cut him off at the pass with Herrera and Drew. High, hanging, long, beautiful kick by Barber. And he fumbled it! Gray fumbled it at the 22! Body's diving on it! Who's got it? Dog's got it, I think. Let's see, they're going to unpile it. Who's the last man out?
Come on down. Come on down.
Theus came out with it, the snapper. Snap, handoff to Gurley. Gurley starts straight ahead, now veers to the near side. He stumbles a little bit. He stiff-armed the man. He gets to the corner. He turns it up at the 15-yard line, down to the 10-yard line. Hudson throws a laser beam to Malcolm Mitchell. He makes the catch on the goal line. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Malcolm Mitchell. He got hit crossing the goal line, but he caught it right in his belly. That's 6 for the Dogs, and we're a kick away from tying this sucker. Second down 10. Chubb, big hole, left tackle. Chubb 30. Chubb 25. Chubb 20. Chubb 18 and out of bounds on the far sideline. Down on 3rd and 7 from the Auburn 15. Snap to Mason. He's got time. He pump fakes. He steps up. Now he curls to the right. Looking. He dumps it down the near sideline. Caught by Malcolm Mitchell. Mason hands it to Chubb. He's got the first down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He's got the touchdown.
Boy, I'll tell you what, the big boys up front are just going crazy. David Andrews right now is sprinting down the field. He's still running, finally coming off the sideline.
Fake it. Marshall going to keep it run inside, and we will eat him up at the line of scrimmage. Herrera hit him first, and then Wilson and Leonard Floyd piled on top to stop the Auburn quarterback. Man in motion is Hicks. Toss to Gurley. Runs hard right. Gurley's going to waltz into the end zone. Easy touchdown for the junior who takes a bow to the crowd. They'll go for it on 4th down. Marshall turns, runs to the left, throws it on the run. It's picked off from Marlo Herrera at the 2-yard line. Marlo picked it off on 4th down. Ball on the 9, 3rd down, toss it to Gurley. Got a block on the edge. Gurley to the 10, to the 15, to the 20. Shakes a man at the 25, to the 30. Pulls away at the 35. Got just enough of him at the 40. 10 from the Auburn 11 for the Dogs. Handoff Chubb. Chubb at the line of scrimmage. Breaks one tackle. Breaks another. Angles back. Touchdown. Chubby time. Chubby time. Touchdown. 33-7 Georgia.
Very, very proud of all y'all. Very thankful for all you guys. You showed the nation what we're about here at Georgia, and I'm proud of everybody. Y'all do great, coaches, managers, trainers, everybody. Coach Richt and I'll put a bow on this right after this on Inside Georgia Football with head coach Mark Richt.
This by our players.
Georgia has to win over 18th ranked LSU.
I'll try to improve from last year to this year, and we'll see how everything goes.
Dogs on top, 1-0.
By Hyundai, proud supporter of college football and loyal fans everywhere.
Coach, 34-7, that was a terrific football team that you gave a thumping to tonight.
Yeah, they're a very good team and had a great season to this point. And even the losses that they had were just very, very close battles. And we jumped on it. They obviously started out well, scored the first touchdown of the game, but after that we just were very determined to win it, and I'm just proud of the job that everybody did.
Is there one particular thing that you think turned that game? It's because it started out, like you said, a little rough.
Well, you know, we had the kickoff return that didn't count. We had a fake punt that didn't count, and then but they did when they bobbled the punt and we got on it and then put 7 on the board. I think that helped us, but I really believe we were going to play a very good game tonight, and we were just determined to win it, and proud of everybody.
Yeah, well, obviously defensively you hold them to 7, but offensively you have 2 backs go right at 150 yards apiece. I mean, that's impressive.
It was. I mean, the whole team did well. I mean, even the special teams, you know, you hate the fact that there were penalties, but there were a lot of good things that happened on specials, and offense, defense did their job. The fans did their job. I mean,
that was the atmosphere.
The atmosphere was phenomenal. We had a bunch of great recruits in here to enjoy it. They all left with a smile on their face, and I'm just thankful for the people that were at the dog walk and the way that the band played and the fans did their thing.
That's right, and first time back here at Sanford Stadium in 42 days, but it certainly paid off for the Dogs, 34-7. Charleston Southern in here next week at noon at Sanford Stadium. You be here too, and be back with us on Inside Georgia Football with head coach Mark Richt. Have a great Bulldog week, everybody.
Is gas always just...
You can't touch this. My music hits me so hard, makes me say, oh my Lord, thank you for blessing me with a mind to rhyme and 2 high feet. Feel good when you know you're down. A super dope homeboy from the whole town, and I'm known as such. And this is the beat you can't touch. I told you, homeboy, you can't touch this. Yeah, that's how we're living, and you know you can't touch this. Look at my eyes, man. You can't touch this. Yo, let me bust the funky lyrics. Fresh new kicks and pants. You got it like that, now you know you wanna dance. So move out of your seat and get a fly girl and catch this beat while it's rolling. Hold on, pump a little better, let her know what's going on. Like that, like that. Pull on the britches and just fall back. Let them know that you're too much.
Had said, if the administration has said when this bill is